and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Yeah. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike.
Welcome in. As you can tell, I am not Connor Happer. It's Mike Schaefer here. Happer out for the next couple days. And so we introduce to you for the first time on 1620 The Zone as a co-host. No idea if he's ever been on as a guest before. Could be the first time he's ever done Omaha radio. A Lincoln radio veteran that now works in Omaha. Nick Sehnert, thank you for being the latest and greatest co-host fill-in we've had.
I appreciate it, Schaefer. This is my first time on Omaha radio.
Wow.
As a guest,
How's it feel?
As a guest host, it feels good. I'm excited. I'm thankful that you. It only took me a month to get back behind a microphone.
Yeah.
So whether that is a good thing or a bad thing, we can let the listeners decide on that one.
When I saw that you were leaving the ticket and then you announced your new gig in Omaha, and I was like, all right, we're adding to the Rolodex. It started with Michael Snow, the first ticket person. Happer and I have both worked at the ticket. We've had Jake Sorensen on as a regular Friday guest. Now we have Nick Sehnert in. So we've kind of quietly just amassed a little bit of a little small ticket feel over here at 1620.
Well, I told you before the show, Happer and I, our first introduction was 11 years ago when I was 14 years old and I job shadowed Happer at the ticket. And so went into Happer's show, and at that time he was 11-2, I think, if I remember correctly. And then kind of just kept on bugging Happer. And then I started there as a junior in college and left about a month ago. So about 5.5 years.
Yeah, the thing about Connor that fascinates me endlessly is I think he has done every hour of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in a radio show capacity, like with his either name on the masthead or part of a show in that run. And I don't know anyone else that has done that. Like Josh Peterson has only done 2 to 6 from like producing to hosting to all of it.
For sure.
And Connor Happer has done everything in that time period.
Josh Peterson also filled in for with Matt McMaster for the morning show when he used to host. He's kind of filled in.
So he's done a little morning.
He's done a little morning, and I think he's
obviously CWS radio. He would have the opportunity to do some midday stuff.
Yeah.
But
and I think he's done a midday with Odson as well.
Okay,
I think that you got to double check with Josh Peterson. Josh, if you're listening, just let us know.
Yeah, these are the important things.
You'll probably be listening during the replay.
I was gonna say, see, I feel somewhat bad. I don't know if I've ever met like the guys here in person. I mean, we know about each other,
sure,
right? I don't know. I mean, I guess I should say I know about them. I don't know if they know about me, but it's one of those things where like I walk in and I'm like, okay, so now you're seeing how where everything happens.
Well, sort of. You didn't see where everything happened for most of the time.
Yeah,
you've seen where everything happened for the last 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're in a state of transition here. We have a big clock. We never used to have a big clock.
It's crucial to have a big clock. Clip that, I guess.
Be sure to save that exact opinion for about 9:58 a.m. When we cross over with Matt McMaster. Now, did you went to the University of Nebraska? Matt was at the University of Nebraska. You're not that different in age. You're 26.
I'm 25. Just turned 25.
Yeah. So Matt's 24. Did you guys ever have classes together? Did you know of Matt McMaster at the University of Nebraska?
I knew about Matt because we saw each other at press conferences.
Okay.
So there was, Husker football
Were
press
like
conferences.
Dogs circling each other as younger guys in the media?
Not even.
Shoot,
Schaefer, I mean, you know it. It's a weird vibe sometimes when you're a younger guy at Husker football press conferenses.
That is the understatement.
It's weird. That's one thing that's going to be an adjustment this fall. I've joked about it, but no, Matt and I over the course of a couple of years in crossover, where before he got here full time, I mean, we just crossed over as we were just hanging out. We just knew we were two young dudes at Nebraska football pressers. So
yeah, no, that's entirely understandable.
It makes me glad that there is somebody here that is similar to my age, because everywhere we go, it's man, Nick's the youngest guy here. And I mean, like, even at the ticket, in terms of full-time staff, Jake was the next youngest, or no, Austin was the next youngest, and he's 29, I think. So
sure, now Jake might act younger than Austin
sometimes, but not in the good way. So Jake's a Friday guest. I did not know this.
Yeah, no,
so he'll be on tomorrow.
And you know Jake well. When he happens to be in the state and in a cell phone receptive area, he is our Friday guest. Well, that man gets more out of his travel than anyone else.
Well, usually when Happer is gone on a Friday, it's usually bad luck because Jake would never show up for an appearance. So I think with you here, Nick, our chances increase significantly.
You know how he works. Like, basically Fridays are the days that he takes off, and then he's like on a plane to Arizona, or he was in the Black Hills.
He was in Wisconsin Dells last week. He was going on a duck boat. So we got to.
He's like, I don't think the reception's going to be good, so I don't think I can do it.
See, here's the thing. I'll save it for tomorrow. Actually, I'll save it for tomorrow because I have no problem calling Jake out and holding him accountable on how
that's our show believes in
accountability. I'm not entirely sure he was unavailable as often, or is unavailable as often as he says he is. That's all I want to say. Sometimes Jake forgets about things that he even weekly things he sometimes forgets.
Okay.
And it's one of those things that he'll just say, hey, something came up, or the reception is spotty.
So you're saying that he might need an accountability session.
I think accountability is something that he would certainly need.
We have an accountability session at the end of every show now. You'll be a part of it. I want to just say this now, and this can be as a tease. I'll mention it again. You'll want to tune into the accountability session today. I have what I perceive to be maybe an unbeatable thing that I have to be accountable for that occurred to me last night that I never thought would happen in my life. And so I will get into that. I have to be held accountable. There are people that might be tuning in right now that want me to talk about something that occurred last night. I'm not going to get to it until about 9. What do we think? 9:35 to 9:40 in the morning.
So just so I'm aware, that's something. I mean, do I need to come up with something that I need to be held accountable for
throughout the day? Usually, the accountability sessions related to stuff that happens throughout the show. Like, I'll forget to turn on my my microphone. Joey will have to do it. I will, like, for instance, one of them right off the bat. I didn't grab my muff to start today's show. So there's that one. It's usually little stuff like that. Though the other day we started incorporating things that were happening outside of the show. And as I mentioned last night, I have an absolute all-time.
I have a lot of things outside the show that need to be held accountable. Right. I haven't done a show for the last month, so I don't know.
We'll make sure we save some time to hold ourselves accountable here at the end of the show. However, the rest of the show today, here's what we got going on for you on Thursday. Of course, I have an opinion. Always happens on Thursday, 8 a.m. Get those in. If you want to text the show, if you want to call the show, 402-951-1620, get those in. We would love to have your opinions, especially if you want to call in. We never really have people call in with their opinions on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. We would love to have that. If you want to tweet them in on the Zone Twitter feed, which, of course, is powered by our friends over at Liquid Trucking, you can do that either at Mike J. Schaefer, at Nick Sehnert, I believe.
Yeah, Nick underscore
Sehnert, at 1620 The Zone.
And at Happen Shave.
At Happen Shave, yeah. Which I don't know that I have any access to that account. I don't know that I need access to that account. Joey will have the have those.
I'll get the
and of course, if you are one of our friends joining us here on the StreamYard as well, we will take your opinions there. Don't forget the emails. Joey, you gotta let me work a little bit. I know you're ready to jump in on everything I don't do right, but you gotta mellow out a little. We have the Equitable Bank inbox. So, of course, you can email me, Mike at 1620thezone.com, Joey at 1620thezone.com. Happer already forwarded over some that he has received. I know we have, I think, a holdover or two maybe from earlier in the week. So, of course, that's another way that you can reach the show as well. Nick, if you have opinions, if you have things that you just want to get out there that you just don't have the opportunity to tell people, 8 a.m. today, great segment to do that as well. We have our usual Thursday guests, which means Brian Christopherson at 8:30. We'll dive into everything going on in Husker football here this offseason and whatever else is happening with BC. Now, I know we had a question. We want to get to him about sort of a thought that he has had for several years about when Nebraska finally turns the corner, how it'll happen. So we'll get to that, of course. And then Max Olson from ESPN joins us at 9:15 or around in the 9 o'clock hour, I should say. And we'll kind of see what's going on with him. I don't know if he was down at SEC Media Days. I know he was at Big 12. This is usually kind of a busy time for Max, but we'll catch up with him. And
a lot of cussing at SEC Media Days.
A lot of what?
Cussing. Did you see John Sumrall said a couple of cuss words a couple of times? I saw one other coach, I'm escaping on the name, said a couple of cuss words up at the podium.
Oh, wow.
On the main podium. John Sumrall quickly rising in my list of favorite coaches that coach at a school that I don't care about.
All right. Well, we'll have an opportunity to talk some SEC Media Days. It'll come up. Free balling, which of course happens in the last hour of the day around 9 a.m. And otherwise, we will get to Balls of Steel. Of course, this is the ballsiest show on 1620 The Zone. And so we will we'll dive into some Power 4 predictions from our good friends Pick 6 Previews, getting us at the magazine. We'll dive into thoughts on some new teams. How many teams, Joey, have we gone through?
We've done 23 teams.
Okay.
And I divided them by conference, and I think the most we've done per conference is the Big 10 and ACC.
Okay.
We've done a handful. I think 5 teams.
I don't feel like we've done much SEC for whatever
reason. We've done 3 teams, okay. I think 2 or 3. I got the document here. I've been keeping track. But yeah, 23 teams is what we've done so far. We might make it to 138 by the time of the college football season.
That is true. Maybe. We're gonna have to go back to Phil Steele to get some group of 5s. I do think we just need to pick it. Maybe tomorrow we will focus on Fridays. We focus on group of 5, or group of 6 now with the Pac-12. Does the Pac-12 want to be like they're half a foot in the power conference and half the foot in the group of 5? I mean, they're not going to be an AQ. Washington State and Oregon State don't really move the needle, which is why they got left out in the first place.
Out of the Pac-12, who is there a team that moves the needle?
Boise State. That's the team that everybody's basically kind of banking on to sort of carry that conference in their first year of existence. Not existence, but first year in their new look. I think Boise State is a pretty trendy pick for the college football playoff. I know
San Diego State, Fresno State could be sleepers as well.
Yeah, Fresno State's in there. Basically,
but nationally, but that's kind of where I was going. Yeah. Nationally, you're not moving the needle.
No, right? Boise State had really the only chance to be like a top 25 threat, and they dropped off a little bit. I mean, last year they got absolutely spanked by USF at the beginning of the season, and they weren't really the same team. Well, as you sort of come to know Boise State over the last 20 years.
And as they go in the playoff, you're sitting there saying, okay, is that going to do I ever see an avenue to where that's the team that people are picking to actually win their first round matchup or and then not be an underdog? And I that's when I look at moving the needle, it's kind of that philosophy. Yep. And naturally, I just don't see, at least in the next 5 years, it being that way.
I think, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but I think the gap between the automatic qualifying conferences and those that, the best team that comes out of the rest, like that gap is really large. The James Madison and I forget who the other team was last year. Who's the other group of 5?
Tulane.
Yeah.
Was that
Tulane?
Yeah.
Tulane.
I mean, Tulane's really, really solid. Like just a gap between them and those top teams that make the college football playoff is pretty immense.
Well, it's kind of what we're seeing in college basketball the last couple of years in March Madness, where the first round games aren't as exciting, but man, you get to even the round of 32 and you get to the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, and the competition is, I mean, it's so cutthroat.
It's the flattening of the top of the sport,
big time,
but widening from where the middle and the bottom is sort of how I kind of view it with the NIL era upon us. All right, those are the sort of conversations that we're going to have, and we'll get into some Tom Osborne a little bit later. We'll find out what Nick is now up to, that he's no longer in full-time radio. We'll get some thoughts, of course, on Nebraska football and the NFL as well. We are off and rolling here on Happer and Schaefer. When we come back, I want to learn, what is Nick doing now? I see a spiffy-looking polo that he has on. Could it be related to some volleyball happening here in the States. So we'll find out next year on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back in here on Happer and Schaefer, 6:20 in the morning, and 1620 The Zone is teaming up with Salvation Army in its annual 7 Can Backpack to School backpack program. Okay. Joey, do we know what the 7 is for?
That's just a name. That's the name of the program they do every year. It's the 7 Can Back to School backpack drive.
Okay. That you learn things around here. Summer is heating up, but back to school season is just ahead. Nick, do you remember being a kid and it's right around this point in time where your mom might be like, "Hey, we gotta go to do some back to school shopping. Mm-hmm. You gotta get your pencils and your binders and all of that stuff. You might have to get some new outfits."
I never went through the outfit piece.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my mom was big on that's when you would get your new shoes. You get one pair of shoes for the entirety of the year, and it came right before basically right around August.
You got them, right around August. With us, it was like early July, middle of July, and then you had to make the very hard choice in life as a 12-year-old and sit there and go, okay, do I want to wear the shoes now and risk them getting dirty before school starts, or do I have the patience to wait and wait to wear them for the first time until school starts?
Yeah. And so I was fortunate enough to basically, this was a part of, things for me, but not everybody has that. So this program is focused on giving children in need the tools to succeed for a brighter future. More than 250,000 backpacks have been given away over the life of this program. Those wanting to donate can drop off new school supplies from July 1st to August 3rd at select Methodist Health System locations, Metro Credit Union locations, Cubby's convenience stores, and Salvation Army locations. School supplies needed include backpacks, rulers, notebooks, erasers, glue, crayons, colored pencils, writing utensils, theme paper, 2 pocket folders, reusable water bottles, hand sanitizers, and tissues. Get more details at 1620 The Zone to find out how you can help and how you can donate with this program. All right, Nick, so I mentioned this. You've got your polo. I know that you work for one of the 2 professional volleyball programs in town. Tell me, so here's where I struggle. Do I just say Omaha love volleyball, or what's
love Nebraska?
Love Nebraska.
And I don't think Booth, our team president, would mind saying this. Only for a couple more. We're hoping to not have that be a thing.
Okay.
I
struggle in how to 100%. Determine, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I also know I'm an idiot. So sometimes I tend to get myself in situations that normal people do not get them into. But I have struggled with that a little bit. So love Nebraska volleyball.
Yeah.
You've been there for about a month now?
Yeah, I think June 22nd was my first day.
Hey, look at that. You made it a month.
Literally a month. It's been a lot of fun. I made it kind of goes honestly back to last year, just real quick. I do some in-arena hosting and emceeing around Omaha with the Chasers, but then also this last year they brought me in as the in-arena host for Love Nebraska, and we play at Baxter Arena, and so I got kind of introduced to the league there a little bit, but then I kind of was thinking, okay, you know what? I've been in sports radio for 5.5 years. I mean, shoot, Mike, you know how the business works, and especially in the landscape of Nebraska and stuff. And I thought, you know what, I kind of am interested in a new challenge. And through conversations so Kirsten Bernthal Booth is our team president of business operations. And a lot of Creighton fans obviously know her, and just volleyball people in the world.
I would hope volleyball people in general know
and
her.
So anyway, it's been really, really fun getting, in conversations with her. There were a lot of things there's opportunity to be a part of building something from the ground up. And what I do, I guess I should talk about my role. I'm a manager of corporate partnerships and sponsorships, but then also on the side, I still do the in-arena stuff. And then in addition to that, as we have players report and social media stuff, I mean, I've done one-on-one interviews with players that are in town now. So there's still some, behind the camera or in front of the camera and behind the mic type of stuff. So not totally hanging up all of that, but it was really intriguing. I think, it's funny. You're not alone in the confusion of it, because I get into
there's a couple different things. There's obviously the idea that you have 2 volleyball leagues going on,
which I speak for all of us in saying we hope. I don't want to make this like a infomercial. I don't know. I think just naturally there's a lot that people have to learn about us, really, in all honesty. And so I think like we look at it, the public looks at it as like two leagues that butt heads. Like
when it doesn't need to be. It's basically more opportunity for a sport that people love around.
Yeah, like we don't want there to be two leagues. Like I think it's okay for me to say that, in that and you hope that it does not end in cannibalization. Like I just that's the honest truth. Is there's a way. I think there's differences. I won't get too far into the weeds, but there's like differences in business model. There's a lot of misconceptions. One that I do want to like just point out, the fact that I even have a job right now is because our league is changing. We added teams in San Francisco, in Miami, in LA, and in Minneapolis. And so 4 pretty big markets, and we've had some big time, investors and investors kind of join the fold. Like the Houston Texans bought the team in Houston, and the San Antonio Spurs bought the team in Austin, and Holly Rowe and Alexis Ohanian is involved in the LA team. So it's just like there's a lot there. And one, there's a lot of people we talk to partners around the state, Mike, and we sit there and they're like, where have you been? Where have you been the last 2 years? Well, there's been some changes where, the first couple of years we're going into season 3, the first 2 seasons, everything was ran at the league level. Mm-hmm. And so you didn't have boots on the ground. And we know in Nebraska how important that is. And now here going into season 3, we have control over that side of things. We have control of who we work with and who we want to, involve in the game day experience. Like we recognize that the game day experience was somewhat lacking. And so, just being aware of those types of things, I think are important. And like I said, I don't want to make this a giant infomercial, but ultimately there's a lot of misconceptions, and that's where we're at right now, is just building that awareness.
Yeah, I don't want you to think of it as an infomercial, because I just want you to think of it as the opportunity to talk about your new position there. And I genuinely have questions. I mean, one of the things is like your schedule. Like, when does your season really kind of get underway?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing. Like, we have a shorter season than, we're fine talking like the Supernovas. We have a shorter season than the Supernovas. A large reason why we do is international play. A lot of our players play internationally, and then not to say that the Supernovas or anybody in the MLV don't. It's more so we have a lot of international players on our team. 1 in every 5 players in 2026 was an Olympian in our league, and so like. Those types of numbers require you to have a shorter season, because there's hard outs in terms of when players need to report for their international squads. And so, and there's a lot more to it, but our season will start in middle of December this year, and we'll go until the middle of April and stuff. And yeah, it's longer than it was last year. We're growing. One thing I really appreciated about in my conversations with Booth and the team is, it's been a lot of like, okay, we're gonna walk before we crawl and crawl before we run. And I think if you want to be sustainable and you want to build something, even in an area that has 2 pro leagues, you do it the right way, and things will last.
Yeah. Well, one of the cool things with Love Nebraska is that you have Kirsten Bernthal Booth, who people know from her success as Creighton's volleyball coach.
Yeah.
But then also one of the most popular players and one of Nebraska's best players of all time. You talked to Lincoln Arneal, had this conversation with him the other day, and he included her on his Mount Rushmore of players since 2000, which you think about all the great volleyball players that have been through there. And of course, I'm talking about Lexi Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And she's one of the players over there with you guys at Love Nebraska. And she's one of those aspiring Olympian athletes.
Yeah. And it's obviously a big time right now, because everybody's, I don't know all the details in the volleyball world. I've been drinking out of a fire hose this last month. I was going to
say, how much of this is you? Because I know you're a baseball guy,
big time.
I know that you dabble a little bit in golf. You obviously have done the high school sports scene with football and with high school basketball. I don't know what your volleyball background is, but I have to assume there's a big learning curve.
There's a massive learning curve, and they've been really, really, very helpful in learning and just teaching me not only how our league is structured, but also just, it's how it baptized by fire, kind of. I mean, you just kind of go into it and you see what questions come up in the moment. I think, you mentioned Lexi, and I mean, we're excited for this year because we dropped our roster, back on July 13th, and we're going to have 4 former Nebraska volleyball players. I know we're in Creighton country right now, and this is something I got to get used to, but 4 former Nebraska volleyball players here, where, with Lindsey Krause and Rebecca Alec is coming back to Nebraska, and Lexi Rodriguez, Jordan Larson announced that she was coming out of retirement. It was really interesting, the conversations I've had with Jordan, because it's been, and she said this at our press conference, so I know she won't mind me saying this. It's been really, really interesting because she goes, you sit there when you're playing consistently, summer after summer, you just never have a break. You train as soon as the season's over, you're training, and as soon as the season's over, you're training. And she said, I think, at that point I was ready to kind of walk away, but then she said, then I have a summer where I'm not training and my body actually got the rest that it needed. And she realized that she just wanted to still play, and she loves the game. And so it's funny. Like we understand all the optics. Like let me also take this head on. And this is something I respect a lot from our front office with us at Love Nebraska, is that we're not trying to run from anything. Like, we understand that there was a lot of invested into the Jordan Larson retirement last year and stuff. And Jordan, you'll even tell you, she said it publicly, that when it is time for her to walk away again, or finally, then she's not going to do all the theatrics. So, I mean, we understand the optics of it, but you move on, and people change their minds and things happen.
Well, I mean, it's also sometimes hard to just leave stuff, because you end up having all of that time, and all you end up thinking about is what you previously were doing and how you want to continue doing that.
Yeah. So, it's like, how do you scratch the itch? Yeah. And it's just, so, I mean, but ultimately, it's fun because, I mean, you have the eyes on the 2028 Olympics right now. And so there's a lot of players in our league that have those sights set on that. And, we'll see what the play looks like. It's been good. A lot of the I will say this, I mean, from a statistics standpoint, a lot of the top players from one league has come over to another league, and that's what I'll leave it at. And so it's right now, once again, it's building that awareness. We still get into rooms where people will say "Love B," or and I get it. And
trust me, I was like, is that how I'm supposed to say it?
And it's like we 100% understand that there's just a learning curve, and we're excited we feel like we have a lot of really good momentum right now, where we'll see all the college players and how that all kind of shakes out. But no, ultimately things are a lot of fun, and like I said, we believe, I'll say that way, we believe we have the talent.
Sure.
But it's how, I mean, just like in any professional sports, you can have all the talent, but if your game day atmosphere sucks, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. And vice versa. You got to find a way to blend those two.
So are you in the portion of the schedule right now where you're sort of working on how to improve that game day atmosphere? I know you've been involved with the Storm Chasers. Yeah. Nobody does things better than Marty Cordero in terms of having different ideas and different things. I mean, what's kind of that process been like for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, this is where they've come in, and I will say that I've been very thankful for how much they've leaned on me for not only connecting with the media. Like, I think that's been a big thing that was lacking the last couple of years, was we didn't have a great relationship with the media. And that's important in this. And especially when you're trying to establish something. But then, we have a lot of our game day ops and our director of fan experience, and those guys that are in that process right now. It's for me, it's a lot of talking to companies. And so I've been, going alongside with Kirsten and Chris, our VP. And it's just those types of meetings where it's, hey, this is who we are. And, we want to build stuff to last. And that's our biggest thing. So that's kind of the mode I'm in right now. I think in the next 2 months or so, then we really start to get into the fun stuff of, like, I'll sit down with our director of fan experience, and we'll have the conversation of, okay, what do you want in-game activations to look like? It's been really, really interesting, Schaefer, just from seeing the inner workings of a professional sports organization. And I will say, like, that's one of the big reasons why I decided to move on from sports radio. It was a new challenge. I didn't go into sports administration. I didn't go into sales. I didn't go into partnerships. I graduated with a sports broadcasting degree. And so it's like, this is a challenge that I could fail miserably at, but man, it's been really, really fun for the first month.
That's good. That's good. That's what we want to hear. It's a great opportunity for you. And I think it's a great opportunity for Love Nebraska. And so I had to look at your polo because I wanted to say the wrong thing.
I know. And that's fine. Like, it's building a habit.
I basically always want to say Love Omaha instead of Love Nebraska.
Well, and like I said, we are, I'll say this. I mean, we're breaking news. No, we'll have, this won't be Love Nebraska. Like, it just won't be. Like, everybody talks about
I'll by the time I'm finally comfortable just saying
by the time we
switch,
get everybody saying love Nebraska, we're gonna get rid of part of that. Like it's just
how many teams are in the league now?
So 10. Yeah, so there's 10 now. 10 of them now. And hopefully, I mean, things are I will say this also, like we talk about local ownership, like our team's owned locally now. And so there's a lot of really fun players in that ownership group, and I believe 7 of our 10 teams are sold at the local level. That's great. So it is important, right? And because we understand the importance of having
community
buy-in
and investment.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, the misconception, I was just I once again, not to butt heads. I know there's been a lot of things said about each league, and some of it is also not true, and you can't always believe what you hear. But I think the most important thing that we're just trying to get across to people and fans and volleyball supporters in the state of Nebraska is that we are here. We're not going anywhere. But then also everything's ran locally now, and hopefully you start to see a little bit of a shift.
All right. That was a good rundown. Now we know what you've been up to, and now you get to dive back into your old world.
I know.
Sports Talk Radio. And I know because you're sitting in tomorrow as well, this is probably not going to be a one-off. You're probably going to get invited back.
That's fine.
Over and over. So Nick is definitely going to be someone that you hear about both with Love Nebraska, but also here at 1620 The Zone.
It's been funny. I was driving in and I got, I don't know. Are you a Snapchat guy? Is that past you?
No, I never joined.
I don't like Snapchat, but I mean, it's what people my
Everyone
age
that
did.
has Snapchat claims they don't like it.
I don't. If you look, I have 2 conversations rolling right now. But anyway, nothing pisses me off more than people that choose to Snapchat text rather than just iMessage text.
Okay.
But anyway, this is beside the point. I was getting memories on my Snapchat on my camera roll this morning as I was driving in. Big Ten Media Days. And the last 3 or 4 years I've been at the Big Ten. That's something that's coming up now. And I'll be honest, up until this Monday, it never really crossed my radar.
Yeah, you won't miss it.
It was kind of peaceful.
I know you won't miss it.
They're in the basement of the Hilton. This year. Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk about something that's gone downhill. You go from Lucas Oil Stadium, which was a great setup, and then you went to Vegas, and then you
are back in the basement.
Of the Hilton.
McMaster's favorite city. All right. When we come back, Balls of Steel. We will dive into some Pick 6 previews on some Power 4 teams when we return here on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back here on Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer here. Connor Happer out. He is, I don't know if he's left yet, but I know he's got a trip, an event going on. He was telling us about it. He's got a champions dinner he's hosting tonight that involves corn dogs for a golf outing that he's playing over the next couple of days. So no Connor Happer today or tomorrow, but that's completely fine. We brought in his ticket replacement to be his 1620 replacement.
I don't know about that one.
Well, you weren't really his ticket. But I mean, like I said, the crossover between you two fascinates me. I didn't even know the story about you being a 14-year-old job shadowing him.
It was, well, and there's a lot longer of a story of how, it was supposed to be it was supposed to be Lane Grindle. And then before I job shadowed Lane Grindle.
Did you go to the Brewers?
Yeah, it was like 3 days before I was supposed to job shadow Lane Grindle at a Husker baseball game. He was like, "Hey, I'm going." He texted Lane Grindle, emailed me, but he's like, "Nick, I mean, imagine being a 14-year-old and
so you were born in 2002, 2001.
Yeah.
So you're 14 is 2015.
Yeah.
So you go from Lane Grindle to like 24-year-old Connor Happer at that point in time.
Ooh, I don't know how old he was. How old is he now?
I think he's 34.
So so it would have been about that. Yeah. It was funny because so Lane, get that email from Lane and he's like, "Sorry, Nick, I'm taking the job as the Brewers, but here's Greg Sharp's info." And so then that was when I got my first introduction to Greg, who is a fantastic human, as we all know. And it's been well documented and stuff. And then I was like, okay, I saw the play-by-play side. Now I want the sports radio side. And then Happer came down from his perch and allowed me to. But no, it's been funny. A lot of people say that we sound and we talk similar.
Oh, so. Joey, do you think that?
I mean, you guys sound differently. I would
never have said you sound similar.
Like I just got
maybe
I got
your
tweeted
play-by-play could be similar.
Maybe I got tweeted at while I was emceeing the Storm Chasers game on July 4th that said they sound the same, but Happer's 7th inning stretch is way better.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I've never claimed to be a good 7th inning stretch singer, but it is. Is Happer the type of guy that when he's not at the station, is he listening to his show? Do you think he's listening this morning?
He might tune in a little bit.
Yeah.
I gave him a heads up that he's going to want to hear the accountability session later. Other than that, I don't know. I'm not sure. If it's me, it would only be if I just happened to be perfectly in the car at a time to be able to catch it. Otherwise, I'd sort of forget, and people are like, "Oh, you got to go back and listen to this." So
yeah,
you might catch this. You might have thoughts. All right, we want to get at least a couple previews in here. Of course, we have the wonderful, beautiful Pick Six previews from Brett Ciancia here, and we have the lottery balls machine, Happer's Tiny Balls here, and then. We'll give you the honor. How many balls do you want to have us go through here? It goes to 1 to 50. Is that about right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So usually it's 2 or 3.
Yeah, I was going to say the first number I thought of was 3.
Okay, we'll go 3. We'll see what it looks like. We got 1. We got 1. We got 2. We got 3. All right. Nope. Now we have 4. So I'll just do the first 3, and that would be 12, 10, and Happer was not kidding. This is harder than you would think. 2, so we are at 24.
Yes, we are.
So 24. Do we know who that would be here?
That's a good question.
24 is the ACC.
Do you want me to multiply by like 2 or?
Well, have we done Miami? We could just flip the page and go to Miami.
We have not done
Miami.
Okay,
Miami, the team that played for a national title, lost to Indiana last year. They do not return with Carson Beck. They do have Darian Mensah as their quarterback. They are a pretty heavy, I don't know, from a gambling perspective, but well thought of in terms of winning the ACC this year. I know that Brett over at Pick Six Previews has them as one of the top teams in the country back in the college football playoff. Here's what he has to say in his outlook. It seems odd since they haven't won the conference title game, but Miami is a new ACC dynasty program. The talent that Cristobal has stockpiled is head and shoulders above the rest of the league, and they are my pick to win the ACC and make another playoff run in January. As mentioned, Darian Mensah, one of the players that they grabbed here in late January in 2026 in the portal. Keanu Davis, another player at Miami as well. I had kind of forgotten about that. And then, Nick, I was playing the college football video game, and I actually upset Miami in 2027 with UTEP. And Keona Davis had 2 sacks in that game, and I was kind of annoyed by it. My offensive line not getting it done.
I forgot you're a college football guy, like football video game guy.
I am. I've enjoyed it. The gameplay is relatively challenging with it.
It's better than it's been in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it is. It is hard.
I'm going through a Mississippi State dynasty. Just got through my first transfer portal cycle. Actually, this would be notable. I brought in Ja'Cory, Barney, Quasi Gilmer, and Owen Chambliss.
Okay, look at that.
You basically the Mississippi State Cornhuskers.
Picking off Nebraska's roster, huh?
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. So Miami, I fully expect them to be back in the college football playoff. I mean, a large part of it, Gary Mintz is really good.
Yeah.
Line talent on both sides of the ball is possibly once again the best in the country.
Well, I even look at the skill position and I think about Malachi Toney, right? Like he's
Mark Fletcher, who was really good. Like he ran for
so good.
Max Olson we had him on talking about this. He ran for like 700 yards in the college football playoff alone. Yeah. Between the games against Texas A&M, Ohio State, I believe they beat Ole Miss on their way to the championship game, and then Indiana. Like Mark Fletcher was tremendous in those 4 games.
How much has, when we talk ACC, how much of the Miami rise has been in part to the fall of Florida State and Clemson?
Definitely. I mean, there's definitely a portion of it because there's always a power vacuum. Yeah. Someone has to fill it. But some of it to me, is just the collection of talent from Mario Cristobal. I mean, Oregon is sort of where they're at because he left the cupboard really stocked for Dan Lanning, and they've been able to continue that.
Yeah.
He is a tremendous recruiter. He's always been regarded as a tremendous recruiter. The knock on Cristobal, and it remains to be the same, he is not a good in-game coach. Like he makes questionable decisions. They gave games away 2 years before with Cam Ward where they couldn't close out and, made poor time management decisions down the stretch. He has assembled so much talent, Nick, that it can overcome some of his questionable game management decisions.
Well, and frankly, you should be able to at Miami.
Yeah,
right? Like the hot
talent has never been an issue at Miami. Having the right leader, the right voice, and getting it all moving in the same direction. Cristobal, Miami guy, it's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
I don't see him as someone who's going to jump to the NFL. This is a guy who seems like he's in his position for a long time.
He does. And it didn't start off great at Miami.
No.
Right? Like I pulled up his record because I didn't want to misquote it. And it's 5-7 in the first year, 7-6 in year 2, but then a 10-3 jump with a loss in the Pop-Tarts Bowl in 2024. And then obviously the big jump here in 2025.
The big difference. They went into the portal and they went and got Cam Ward. They went in the portal and they went and got Carson Beck. They went in the portal and they went and got Darian Mensah.
Yeah.
He's figured out what they have to do, and they're going to go get the most talented senior quarterback that they can buy. They have the NIL money to do it.
I was going to say, is their big NIL guy John Ruiz still?
Can he still be? Does he have some sort of...
Or is there something I'm missing
One of their big guys was kind of pushed out because there was questions as to how that money was allowable.
Gotcha.
But they still have more than enough.
Because who was the John Ruiz? I always go back to this. Miami basketball signed that Kansas Nigel Pack. Is that Nigel Pack? And John Ruiz was like the first booster that we knew about at that moment. But because obviously Texas Tech, we know about Cody Campbell, but not to jump away from Miami. No, I think you're right. Like everything centers around the quarterback. Like quarterbacks define seasons. More than ever. And like when we talk Nebraska football in the next couple of hours, like the same conversation is going to be had. Like teams live and die by the quarterback, and that's not a out of pocket statement. It's a very generalized, very base level statement because everybody knows it.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Joey, and coaches that can't figure it out are crazy.
Have we talked about Purdue?
No, we have not.
Okay, Purdue would be 24 times 4 is 96, correct?
Yes.
So Purdue at page 96. Let's just get this in real quickly. We need to spend almost no time on Purdue. Here's the outlook from Pick 6 previews. Purdue went winless in league play and ranked last in the Big Ten in my game grader. They head into a second rebuilding year, and bowl seasons still seems out of reach. Their schedule, not easy. It's hard to find even 4 wins for Purdue on the schedule real quickly. Indiana State at home, Wake Forest at home, at UCLA, Notre Dame at Illinois, Minnesota, Washington by at Penn State, Maryland at home, at Iowa, Wisconsin, Indiana. I don't think they're getting a
disastrous season again.
They are, Barry Odom. Good luck to you.
No athletic director.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah,
that is going to be tough. All right, let's take a break here. Finish up the first hour. We'll come back. We're going to get into some Nebraska football. I have not talked with Nick about Nebraska football since the last time I would have had him on one of my podcasts. So we'll get to that next here on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back here, Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer sitting in the number one chair today. Connor Happer out. Nick Sehnert in. Nick, you were just lamenting during the break. You've been out of radio for a month, and now you're back in, at least as a co-host here. And you were saying nobody knows your opinions anymore. Nobody knows how you feel about various things, and this is what we can offer you. In addition to our beautiful new spacious studio,
yes,
we can give you a chance to tell us what is on your mind as it relates to Nebraska football. And I like, this is one of my favorite things about the offseason and sort of being the kind of, I don't know, social butterfly is what I want to use here, but the sort of person who talks with a lot of different media members.
Mm-hmm.
I always want to know how other people feel about various things or what they're thinking, or, because it's just sort of the cycle of how this all works. Because I tend to think there can be some overwhelming groupthink about how everything's going to play out or whatever it is. So then I like to individualize it and then dive into a few things. So I have some questions for you as it relates to the upcoming Nebraska football season. And you've only been out for a month, and nothing has really happened in that time. You did admit that you forgot that media days were coming up, which is, again, nothing will happen there either. Really, August 5th, I think, is when they start practices. That's kind of when things will kind of ramp up. We had the Mekhi Nelson news. Nebraska added a running back in Tyke Hayes, which is never a bad thing at a position where they certainly could use some more options, or at least allow themselves some more options. So I guess we'll start with this. What has interested you the most since the end of the season? Let's say the end of the Utah game, all the way through, whether it's spring football, whether it was off-season conditioning, whether it was the fact that they changed kind of the schedule around, or the transfer portal. What has interested you the most about Nebraska football in the year of 2026?
I think it's been the strategy that they've had to add players at certain positions and the decision not to at other certain positions. I look at the biggest concern, I think, for a lot of us going into the season is going to be the defense. And now you're starting to hear that the narratives already begin before fall camp even starts, that Nebraska football is going to have to score points. And the success of Nebraska football is based on whether or not they can score more. And then they allow, and I realize how stupid that sounds when I say it, but seriously, I think there's serious concerns here, and this is nothing personal to Rob Orich, but there's serious concerns about their ability to stop anything defensively, especially up front.
Yeah.
And it feels like they haven't necessarily added game changers up there either. And now you're looking back, and sure, everybody wants to talk about the 2027 stuff. And as exciting as the 2027 class is, one of my biggest things that I always really, really leaned into when I was kind of hosting the last couple of months has been, at some point, now's got to be the time. And I'm tired of fans in college football. This is not just a Nebraska problem, but I'm a little tired of fans being okay with, all right, let's look at 2027 as the year, or let's look at 2028, and everything shapes up. In this day and age of college football, I understand that there has to be some sort of an adjustment and a learning curve, especially if you change philosophies. But at the end of the day, at some point you have to look at yourself and go, now is the time you need to win. And I feel like for the last 10 years, Nebraska's never had that, where they look at it and go, now's the time that we need to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because as someone who largely, my biggest commentary on the Matt Rule era is that he has to start stacking wins. And I've been saying that from 2024 on. I do agree. And he sort of has, in the very, very lowest sense, where you get the 6 wins and then the 7 wins.
Yeah.
And all of that. A lot of it, to me, you want to be able to look to the future and know that you're putting some talent together there, but you also need to be able to see some success that's happening right in front of you. And there's little modicums of it, but it's not coming in large waves.
Well, maybe some of the, I might be a little pessimistic because I look at this
is understandable.
And we've seen this happen elsewhere, right? Where coaches are very, very strategic in how they're able to give themselves more time. Very strategic and very smart. Like, it's playing the game. But like, I wonder at times, like, are we prepared for a world to where next year in 2 years now, in 2027, the narrative to be, well, look, we weren't winning enough games because we have so much youth. Let them get older. And then you're just pushing it down to 28 and 29. And then before you know it, you blink and the last 4 years have happened. And you sit there and go, why aren't you winning more games? And you're still stuck with the same coach. Like, I need to preface this because maybe a lot of the listeners don't know me, and that's okay. Like, I am in no way saying that Nebraska needed to make a change at coach. I'm not calling for anybody's job. I don't do that thing.
If you did that, you would certainly have some support, particularly from several people on our StreamYard.
Well, that's good to know.
You wouldn't be alone.
That's good to know. But my thing is, like, we sit here and just go, oh yeah, hey, don't worry about it. 2027 is going to be the year. They're going to be ready to go. Suddenly our true freshmen just able to play at the Big Ten level. And then suddenly are you as a staff able to develop? Like, I just, nobody's calling for it to be changed overnight. Nebraska fans have never, I mean, they are in a way, but not realistically calling for it to be changed overnight. It's just, are we ready? Has anybody thought about, okay, you kind of not throw in the towel on 2026, but you understand it might be a step back, right? Or not as much of a step forward as you'd like. But then are we ready for a world to where in 2027, there can be a lot of potential and excitement, and rightfully so, because you have a lot of really exciting names coming in. Maybe the portal is really good to Nebraska that year, but all of a sudden are true freshmen going to be able to play?
Yeah. So I think the interesting thing to me is you touch on some of the stuff that certainly has come up. The interesting thing to me is that Nebraska's alleged build is under the idea that they retained a lot of their roster from last year for the idea that they are now older. Yeah. They have quite a few guys that have played, not just contributed in a season, but in the cases of, like Ja'Cory Barney or Isaiah Hunter, you're now in your third year at a position at wide receiver where the expectation is it has to be better. You have a guy in Quasi Gilmer that you brought in that you have a position too where Cortez Mills and Quinn Clark and all of them are behind them, but they clearly went out and took Quasi Gilmer for a reason because they wanted another veteran wide receiver there. Luke Lindemeyer's played more football. Your offensive line, I don't know if it's going to be good because they've had a lot of starts. I mean, I think Justin Evans is good. I think Brendan Black has played a ton of football. I think Elijah Pritchett was playing his best football at the end of last year, and nobody noticed because everything else was so bad.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure with Mabenga and Tree Babalade, but you have a lot of starts there. So they're at a point where they have invested in retaining a lot of their roster to finally be experienced. Is it enough in 2026 to get you over the hump in some of the situations you've lost?
I'll ask you a question, Schaefer. Like, where are you at on this running back room?
I mean,
because you brought up here's the thing, you brought up the wide receivers, right? And rightfully so, because I think Nebraska's going to be really good in that room. I do.
In theory, they could be, but I felt like they should have been in 24 and 25, and they just sort of underachieved statistically in both years. Now they have offensively too, so that's sort of all ties together. So running backs.
Yeah, but like you go out and get, obviously Calandria, who you hope can deliver the mail. But then this was one of the biggest disappointments for me in the offseason, and I think for a lot of everybody, for a lot of fans, there's a lot of people that probably share this thought, is you look at the 1,400 plus yard season that Emmett Johnson had last year. You don't win maybe 3 or 4 of the games you won last year without Emmett Johnson and without being able to lean on Emmett Johnson as much as you did. You saw the value. You saw the importance of it. And to not go out and bring in somebody that has proven experience, when now you can say, hey, we've put Emmett Johnson in the league. We've given it. He's gotten an NFL opportunity. Those are stuff that in those conversations with running backs, you feel like should be able to give you an upper hand. And it just feels underachieving.
100% biggest disappointment of the transfer portal cycle is that I don't think, actually, there's 2 things. I don't know if they did enough to address the defensive line, though. As time has gone on, I've sort of talked myself into, and other people have talked me into Owen Stoudemire and Jashir Whittington being helpful.
I'd be interested in those conversations.
You've addressed it to that. And I will just go down with the ship. There's guys that I believe in that are on that defensive line that I think had a bad year that I don't think they're going to follow up with another bad year. We'll see. That I feel better than most do about the defensive line for the same reason that I did in 2023. I believe in the talent that was initially in that room, and I felt like the coaching could have been better. Mm-hmm. That is what I'm hanging my hat on for 2026. Running back's a different story. That was an area where you just had an All-American. You should be able to go into the portal, be like, this is what our offense is losing. We need somebody. Mm-hmm. Let's, see what we have here. All indications to me, as Nebraska assessed its running back room, they like the guys they have. I don't know that I understand it. They do like the guys that they have. They put their investment in the offensive line. They basically are betting heavily on Jeep Wade, Lonnie Teasley, Paul Mabenga, Tree Babalade, Brendan Black, and then, of course, the holdovers of Pritchett and Justin Evans. They're betting that they can manufacture their running game through a stronger offensive line and a running back that I think they like more than most in Mekhi Nelson. Now, his offseason took a big change beginning of the month. And they like Isaiah Mosey quite a bit, too. Mm-hmm. And then I truly believe that they view Jamal Rule on the same level of the other freshman running back. So they might just be willing to turn over that position to a guy who's older than most freshmen. He played as a high schooler, I think, at 19 last year. So he's older. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit more physically developed. He's gotten bigger. So if you were going to take the optimistic view, which I think is a really difficult thing to do when we talk about Nebraska running backs, because I was optimistic about Emmett last year. I never imagined an All-American season. Yeah. That's their big bet. I don't think that I would have had the same decision to get me there. I also don't have the information of how many running backs they tried to go to and if they were just financially putting themselves out of the league that Nebraska was comfortable with. They also, I think, very clearly looked at Jeep Wade and was like, what do you want? And he said, I want offensive linemen. I don't like what you have. They had to go pay Paul Mabenga what they might have, paid a running back plus someone else. They didn't get the defensive lineman they wanted, so they converted some of that money to the offensive line. Some of it was playing in the system of which you find yourself. If you can't get better at running back, you have to get better somewhere else to help your running game. And I think that's what they did. Whether it works or not, that's kind of the $1 million question.
Of course. I mean, it's the question I think that I can relate to you of does a good offensive line cover up poor running or improve poor running back play, or can a really good running back cover up poor offensive line play? Like which avenue do you want to take?
And that's what we'll find out this year. I mean, and then in addition to that, we'll see if having a more mobile quarterback can help create more of your running game that just wasn't there with Dylan Raiola.
And this is where, I mean, this isn't a Matt Rule thing. I mean, I go back to the Adrian Martinez years and beyond. When I think about quarterback run game, is you have to find this happy medium of using it as a weapon versus relying on it to get you everything. And Nebraska under, with Adrian and other quarterbacks that ran the ball, they just relied on it so often. Yeah. And that's where, like, if this year, when you look around what Anthony Calandria, who a couple months ago was, obviously at UNLV and like he's in a totally different world right now, but you look at what's around Anthony Calandria, and we talked about the wide receiver room and we talk about the offensive line. There are people around him where you shouldn't have to rely on his legs to win you football games week after week. Now, will that be the case? I struggle to believe that, because any sort of running success, it feels like, is going to come from Anthony Calandria. And so either you're going to rely on him heavily on the ground, or you're going to do the exact opposite of what won you 4 of your 6 games last year. And that was running the ball.
Right.
And I that's where I just sit there and I think to myself, like, it's hard to get optimistic. It's hard to look at what the future looks like.
Yeah. The thing I have with the Calandria run game is I don't know how much of it will be designed and how much of it will be him off of broken plays. Yeah. And the issue that I have largely with the offense, and I've now spent, 7 months into 2026. I don't know that I believe in Dana Holgerson's ability to call offensive play calls
so
in
bizarre.
2026 because it was so bad last year. It was the lack of creativity. I mean, you kind of, when we first started this, you were talking about the sort of idea that Nebraska has to be able to score more points. A lot of that stems from they could move the ball. They couldn't finish inside the opponent's 40 often enough. And if they did, they had to settle for field goals. And you know this as well as anybody. They had, I think off the top of my head, 8 drives inside the 30-yard line that they didn't convert a 4th and short on. 8 different times you don't score inside the opponent's 30.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 40 because you get back to the Cincinnati game where that should have been a pick 6 off of Dylan Raiola on the 4th down in the second half. You have, games against Houston Christian and Akron where you're not able to pick up 4th and short. Games against USC and Michigan and Penn State, right at the onset of these games. Big opportunities in your first drives against Michigan and Penn State, and you get no points out of it. So those are big areas where Nebraska has to play better. They have to be a better football team in terms of executing in short yardage. Again, that's where maybe the offensive line decisions that they've made with Jeep Wade, Lonnie Teasley, and bringing in those portal players, maybe that's your bet. I don't know. Like it's so weird to me that I feel better about a defense with a coordinator that came from the Mountain West than I do about an offense that largely is bringing back its kind of core pieces. And I think several of the best players on its team, they're bringing back on the offensive end of it. They have the Mountain West Player of the Year offensively. And I just look at it and I'm like, yeah, but Dana Holgorsen. Yeah. That's every time I think,
which is such I want to feel good about
Nebraska football
from when it started.
I get to the but Dana Holgorsen aspect of it.
But then that goes unfortunately, that goes right back to the head coach, right? Like it's who you put around yourself. Who do you surround yourself in those offices?
Yeah.
The best coordinator from last year is no longer there, and Mike Eckler. Like the best coordinator in the 3 phases of the game in special teams, offense, and defense. The I would say coordinator that generated the most success. I'll say it that way, because best can be a subjective statement.
Sure.
He's gone.
Yeah.
And it's such a flip from what we remember when Dana Holgorsen got here of what the feelings were about him. I mean, here's some statistics real quick. Nebraska last year ranked 66th in the country in red zone conversions. I know your conversation was inside the 40. 15 of their 45 scores, so a third of their scores when they were in the red zone were field goals.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're giving up. So just do the math on that. Like if you take that down to 8.
Yeah.
So 7 more times you finish with 28 more points.
Yeah.
Think about how many different games that shifts.
You're missing out on 60
points. The
points.
Michigan game, the USC game.
Yeah.
You got blown out at the end of the year, but it also shifts the tenor of the Penn State game if you start with a touchdown. Now, the way you played your defense, the fact that you have TJ Lateef as your quarterback,
sure,
you're probably not getting out of, State College with a win there regardless. But it goes to show you that this team, in which is going to play a lot of close games, cannot be giving up 4 points every time to just take a field goal. And those field goals aren't always automatic either. You have the miss against Michigan. You had a couple miss. Now, I think Kyle Keenan is fine. Like, I don't have any real concern there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a big part of it. You mentioned Mike Eckler. I am of two minds with Mike Eckler. I think he was incredibly valuable for half of the season. I think we saw the effect that just him being there can have and the sort of confidence that it gave Nebraska's players. I think we also focus really hard on what he did with Michigan State, the kick return for Kenneth Williams, all of that, and then kind of forget that from November on and from the commentary from the head coach and everyone else, they got a lot worse, and he seemed to be indifferent. And I think his decision of leaving had already happened at that point. So it's kind of a weird.
Yeah.
Everything that happened with special teams is weird to me. I would feel a lot better if Mike Eckler was still here running things. No doubt about that. But they gave him every opportunity to stay, and he didn't want to.
And I would also say the direction that they went with the special teams as well.
Well,
it
just
feels
going
weird.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it was we like the system. Nick Humphrey has been this guy for him. We like Brett Maher. Let's just roll the dice on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I had a really good conversation with Coach Eckler.
Yeah, you were the one that told us about the
about the block punt.
Yeah, that was you. You were on the plane.
So I mean, we don't need to get into that side of it, but I had a really good conversation, a deep conversation with Mike Eckler one-on-one after the Michigan game, because it was their bye week before Michigan State. And I think, I would say that the decision wasn't made that week, obviously, but I think that decision, I agree with you, later in the year while the season was still going on, I do agree and believe that they gave him every opportunity to stick around. I don't know if it would have been good for both sides if he did.
No, I don't.
Which stinks.
He clearly didn't want to be at Nebraska, regardless of what he said. He did not want to be here, and there's no reason to.
Do you feel like was that something that changed in your mind, like from the start of the season to the end of the season
with Eckler?
Because I believe that he wanted to be here at the start.
Oh yeah, no, all cards on the table. I was told in December, late before the bowl game or right around the bowl game, they had made an offer to make him one of the highest paid special teams coordinator in the country, and they had made the offer during the season, and he didn't sign it.
Yep.
And that was like a pretty big red flag to me that he wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
And so then
something happened.
Everything, and the weird part was it languished for a month before he finally ends up at USC. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that he's leaving. Matt Rule has the strange interviews. Like, it was just, all of it was handled poorly.
That also
I think Matt Rule could have handled it better.
Yeah.
I think Mike Eckler could have handled it better.
Agree.
Then you have the sort of comments that he made when he was at USC. I just kind of hope everything can move on from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to me that he talked so much about how much Nebraska meant to him being back here, like being a part of this opportunity. So it wasn't a financial thing. It wasn't a comfort level with clearly there was just something that Nebraska wasn't going to offer him. They weren't going to let him coach linebackers, basically is what it came down to, as far as I understand it.
Which, and to be fair, it's not like it wasn't a situation. I think Coach Eckler looked at it and said, has Nebraska's linebacker play been so exceptional?
Well, no, and I think a lot of it,
that's where I don't blame him. I don't blame him for having, I don't want to beat this dead horse, but I don't blame him for going in and saying, I've put X number of guys in the league at the outside linebacker position at the SEC level, and Nebraska's linebacker play was not good last year, and it hasn't been good for the last few years. And he's probably looking at it going, why don't I get the chance?
Sure.
Why won't you just give me the chance? And from a competitive standpoint, and from, I get it. I get that. But, also the guy that's calling the shots just needs it to work out.
Well, and I think for Nebraska, it comes down to we brought you in to do special teams. We don't want to sacrifice your brain for that to do something else that we didn't bring you in to do.
Yeah.
And it's sort of interesting to me that no one thinks of Mike Eckler as a linebackers coach.
No.
And Mike Eckler himself chose to really push himself into special teams because he didn't feel like he was getting anywhere just being a linebackers coach.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is he strikes me as a guy who loves to have a different challenge. He met the mountaintop on the special teams.
Yeah.
And clearly with what he did at Tennessee in the first half of the season at Nebraska, there's no question that guy can coach special teams. I think he just looks at it as another challenge. And I don't think he's someone that was going to stay somewhere for a long time anyway.
Probably not. I think, it also comes probably off the heels of Tennessee and Josh Heupel probably wanting to do everything that they could to keep him. And so he has that in his mind of, well, this team in the SEC has wanted to keep me and would have done anything to keep me. And now I come back to Nebraska and I don't feel the same. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that probably plays a factor in it. But back to the whole Dana Holgorsen stuff. What a switch, right? I don't want to say that I was thinking that we were going to see the Houston offense with Case Keenum, but it hasn't even been consistent.
Let's continue this when we come back here on Happer and Schaefer. I do have a couple texts I want to get to involving Nick. Old man Doug texts in and he says, who is Connor's sub this morning? You should start every segment introducing him. It's Nick Sehnert. I think I did most of the 6 a.m. hour. There are new listeners here. Yeah. Nick Sehnert joins us. He's with Love Nebraska over there in Cortner Partnerships. He had a long radio career in Lincoln. He is now helping us out here in Omaha. You will hear him again tomorrow.
Yes.
And in addition to that, Doug also asked, is he that huge guy? No, he is not the huge guy.
No, but what Doug's
Who is the huge guy?
We'll fill you in on this.
The most important question coming out of Doug is your thoughts on Creighton. That's usually the thing with these.
He did not text that yet, so we'll see. It might be in his I have an opinions as well.
Okay,
so we'll see on that. Also, we got a text in from the 402. Whoa, Swim is at 1620 now. You probably thought that you weren't going to hear Swim again.
Yeah, it might have been Sipple texting that in.
Yeah, I don't think it was Sipple.
It's probably not Sipple. I don't know what Sipple's. Oh, I do know what Sipple's doing now. But
yeah, Sipple will be on air right now.
Yeah, Joey's here also.
Yes, I am.
There he is.
We always have Joey. Joey is always here unless the Packers are playing the Carolina Panthers. Then he might not be here. So we'll see if that happens in October.
Any hyper negative ones?
From the text line?
Yeah. No. Okay.
No.
Because if so, I like to mention
you've been well received so far, from what I can tell. This is a good time to remind everybody. I have an opinion coming up, 8 a.m. hour. Get those in. Whether you want to text it in 951-1620, whether you want to send it in on the Equitable Bank inbox, Mike at 1620 The Zone, and Joey at 1620thezone.com. Get those in. We will get to your opinions in the 8 a.m. hour. When we come back, we were going to go a different direction. I want to stay with Nebraska football. Still have a few more things I want to get to with Nick Sehnert here, filling in for Connor Happer. You're listening to the Happer and Schaefer Show. Welcome back in here on Happer and Schaefer. Nick Sehnert sitting in for Connor Happer here today. Nick, welcome back to radio.
Thank you.
Have you enjoyed your first 90-minute foray back into what once was your profession?
I have. It's been really good. Actually, I mean, you and I haven't been able to talk in a long time either.
Yeah. We never you would fill in for Jake.
Yeah.
At times when I was doing stuff at the Ticket. I think by the time that you were working at the Ticket in a part-time capacity, the first iteration of Happer and Schaefer was just wrapping up at the end of 2021. I would have you on various other side things that I was doing. But we really haven't done that much radio together.
I think this is our first show that we've done together.
Yeah, that wasn't just me coming in on a Thursday morning for an hour or whatever. So this is certainly the longest of the radio that we've done. We have more questions from Old Man Doug. Joey, I think, fired something in his brain. He now wants to know how you feel about J-Skers.
Ooh, very important
about
topic.
J-Skers specifically.
I think it's important to know about Nick. Nick has grown up and lived in Lincoln most of his life.
My entire life.
Yeah. And so it's hard for Omaha people to understand this, but Creighton News doesn't exactly make it to Lincoln a whole lot.
It's so weird.
And it's not really in the same way that Lincoln almost never knows at the College World Series, which this is inexcusable to me in some ways.
I love this take. I can already tell.
Like the College World Series is happening. It's on your television. It's one of the bigger sporting events that would be going on locally, and you will find people in Lincoln that have no idea.
Yeah, it pisses me off.
That is
the Savannah Bananas game.
Don't even, Joey. I just met you this morning. Don't even get me started on that schedule.
Someone say schedules.
Yes,
Joey's a big schedules guy. You'll learn this.
Are you a big schedules guy?
Yes. He creates his own NFL schedule.
I predict an NFL schedule.
No way.
I will predict every games when they're going to happen, what week.
How successful are you?
My first year was about 20-some%, and now it's probably 8 or 9%.
Yeah,
I think the NFL knows.
I think it's your bye week strategy.
Yeah, the wheel.
I don't like it. Once I found this out, I was very unhappy.
I
remain unhappy.
I'm genuinely interested on like how you solve this.
It's a hard puzzle. It's really hard. There's a whole lot into the equation.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. But
yes.
So J-Skers. I don't have a major opinion on him. I would say this, like, I've kind of lost. I have lost a lot of my Nebraska football, Nebraska fandom. Like
that happens when you work in the media.
It happens when you work in the media, and like I thought, I was walked into the pressers and I was like, I'm not going to be a fan. They always do the thing in the press box. It's like, all right, no cheering, no shouting. And I walked away now, and I'm getting ready for this football season, my first one in 7 years as a fan. And I'm like, I'm excited to be able to just watch games and not have to worry about a pregame or a postgame show.
It is amazing how weird we are in the same position.
Yeah.
Different jobs,
like
of
it's
which
liberating
that we have,
right now.
Left or were asked to leave in my case. But like it's like I am also approaching this season in an entirely different way than it has been.
And it's somewhat liberating. I would say that, like,
not somewhat.
It is.
Yeah.
It was funny. So at our press conference when we dropped our roster, it was really funny because I was on the other side of a presser, Mike. Like I walked in, so I did one-on-one interviews with a couple of our players in the locker room and stuff. But then I walk into the press conference and like we're having our players talk to the media, and there's probably 15 to 20 people in the room, and like. I know friend of your show, Lauren Michelson. Like Lauren and I go way back, and Kevin Suits from 1011 in Lincoln. And
favorite people.
Yeah, right. And so like Kevin and Lauren and Chase Collier from Channel 6, I believe, is where it was in that room. And like I walk in and I stand off to the side next to our rest of our front office people. And I'm like, this feels so strange. Like I always
drop a no comment on him.
No.
Did Kevin Seuss just try to say hi? And you're like, I can't talk.
I can't have a conversation. But it was funny because like I walk in, I'm standing on the side. I'm like, man, I feel like Keith Mann right now. Like I'm not. That's not my role. And I love Keith so much. But I was like, man, I feel like the SID right now, and that's not my role with the team. But we got done with it, and Lauren comes up and goes, "Well, Nick, how's life on the other side?" And I was like, it is something like that. But back to the Jayskers. I don't even know how I got off on that side tangent. But the Jayskers, I don't have really an opinion on them. I respect the crap out of what I loved Greg McDermott. Like,
so I think one of the things that is going to be fascinating in the Creighton-Nebraska rivalry is that for the most part, I think people were really good with Greg McDermott. I mean, there was, and I admittedly played into this too when Creighton came up in the sort of the paying players scandal, whatever.
Sure.
We all had our fun with that. And, like there's been some other stuff in there, but I think everyone respects the hell out of Greg McDermott.
Well, and
a lot of it is that he would go get guys and they're there for 4 years and he's winning with guys that were in your system. And it wasn't just going and plucking one and dones or, transfer portal people or whatever. It's going to be weird for me that Creighton's coach is going to be an entirely different guy.
I agree.
And we'll get to know Alan Huss and all of it. And that's from someone from the perspective that wasn't my team.
No,
that was like the team that you sort of would pay attention to in the periphery, but you weren't really locked in on. But I'm with you, ton of respect for McDermott.
And that's where I think there is some to Old Man Doug. That's right. Who asked that question? Old Man Doug. I would say I've been lucky to have the sports career so far to where you can't be a fan. And so you take emotion out of it when you talk about these teams, and you have an opportunity to look at Fred Hoiberg for who he is and who he's been. And same with Greg McDermott when you're talking about this Nebraska Creighton rivalry. And I think I've looked at it from a emotionless standpoint and go,
I can't say I've ever done that with Nebraska basketball.
I know you're
football.
See, I don't do that with Nebraska
baseball
baseball.
That was the job. I could take that out for the most part. I would say 90% successful in that regard.
Yeah.
Basketball, 0% success in removing the emotion from it. It
Yeah.
always has just meant more to me. There's more to me that had given to basketball, all of it. And so if I had any working capacity as it related to Nebraska basketball, it was a challenge for me.
It's not a popular sport in Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska baseball is that for me.
Yeah.
That was the one for me. Basketball, not as much. I just think that, so I genuinely respected Greg McDermott a lot. I mean, that not to say it didn't, bug me and annoy me when Creighton continued to slap Nebraska around when I was growing up. But what's happened to CHI the last couple of years?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that has certainly been an equalizer.
I mean, those have been some of the more enjoyable trips have been the hour drive to CHI where you've sat up on such a high perch.
The hockey.
Yeah.
Yep.
All the way up there, and you're looking down and watching Derek Walker and Sam Griesel. But I mean, Jayskers don't bother me. Be a fan of who you fan. I'm not going to tell you how to fan.
Okay. All right. Well, there's your answer. We'll see. We'll see what Doug thinks. He also wants to know Jack or Tiger. Who's the GOAT?
Age plays a factor into this. I have to go Tiger.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just. I mean, I don't have any. I don't have any of the Jack Nicklaus.
I'm a Jordan guy though. I'm a Jordan guy over LeBron. So I mean,
Jack
I know that's
Nicholson. Jack Nicholson.
No,
accountability.
I think. I mean, that's my thing. I think age comes into a little bit, and Tiger's the one for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, the last couple of years haven't been great for him, but
it's more than the last couple of years. Basically, one great moment in the last 17 years, roughly, since that car crash in 2009.
Yeah.
So it's wild. It's wild. His son also just had his own moment where he missed the amateurs because of allegedly a camera click in his backswing. So.
Which I get. You're also kind of lame for taking a picture. I don't know.
People need to be more respectful of athletes in general. That's just a take that I have.
I don't know.
I have an opinion, which get those in. We'll be doing that at the 8 a.m.
I'm excited for that segment.
Yeah, that'll be fun. You'll be excited for this next segment. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we are going to get to Joey's headlines. We'll learn about what's happening in the world today. You will get to decide between two different headlines what we're going to learn about here next on Happer and Schaefer.
Good luck with that, Dan.
Accountability.
Mark it down. All right. The first time I missed so far here today with the on button for my microphone. We are back here on Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer here. Connor Happer gone. Nick Sehnert in for him today. It is time for the headlines. Joey, do we have some winners today? How'd you feel about your search for today's headline?
I feel good about this. Well, I'll let you guys decide, but I feel like
I caught wind of the first one, and I am interested.
What's the process here?
Okay, so Joey picks a couple headlines every day.
Okay, thank you.
And then we choose between two headlines and then read the story.
Nice.
Usually they are kind of out there. Sometimes
it's dependent on the day.
Yeah, it really sort of,
sometimes it's cooking, sometimes it's very stale.
Yeah, sometimes it's animal related. I would say at least a third of them are animal related, whether it's animals on roofs or bears or anything in Florida.
Sure.
A third of them are stupid criminals, and then a third are just random. Does that sound fair?
I would
if
say
you were to
so.
break it down,
I would say so. It's pretty much what you said.
Yeah. Great.
And that's what the first headline's going to be, except for the animal part. I mean,
no, this is the second third, which is stupid criminals. Yeah. So here you go.
Anyway,
Joey, take it away.
Headline number 1: Florida man with a flamethrower barricades himself in an RV at a Walmart. Cop says.
Okay, so that's going to be really hard to beat.
It's always the Florida man.
Because I want to know more about how he got a flamethrower. I want to know why, or does he live in the RV at the Walmart, which is a thing people do.
Yeah, that's a thing people would park at Walmart.
He is a Florida man, so there's already a large assumption drugs are heavily involved here. So there's a lot happening with that one. All right, what's our next one?
Headline number 2: Boat clock going 157 miles per hour in a 30 mile per hour zone during charity event. I was never aware of a speed zone on a body of water.
I think I always thought it was common courtesy based on if people were doing like wakeboarding or whatever, because you want to be safe. Obviously, motors and people, motors are going to win.
I guess from my perspective, it's just no one like posting a sign like you see on the roads kind of deal.
I mean, you got
I don't know enough about boats. I'm not on boats. And do they have speed limits posted at a lot of places? With boats?
Like they have no wake
probably
buoys.
At the docks.
Yeah, but like I don't know. 157 miles an hour also seems incredibly fast for a boat.
Very excessive.
Like, are you boating on the ocean? I guess we can't ask yet where.
You got to decide which of the two stories do you want? Do you want man barricades himself in an RV with a flamethrower, or do you want the 157 mile per hour?
The flamethrower one's way too interesting.
All right. So where are we? We're going to NJ.com, and a man who barricaded himself inside an RV late Monday night in the parking lot of Burlington County Walmart may have been in possession of a flame. Only may have been. Okay, so the flamethrower didn't necessarily make an appearance here. This is a little disappointing.
I want to change it.
That's why the headline says cop says.
Yeah. A little disappointing, but we continue on. May have been in possession of a flamethrower and other weapons, investigators said. Officers from Lumberton Township Police Department responded to the Route 28 store shortly after 11 p.m. after they received a report of a dispute between two people that escalated into a robbery, according to a statement from the department. One of the people involved in the altercation, a 38-year-old Florida man, got inside a tan and green RV parked near the edge of a lot and refused repeated requests by officers to exit the vehicle or talk with them, police said. The officers were also informed that the man may have had a flamethrower and other weapons inside the vehicle. Other law enforcement agencies were called to the scene, as well as trained crisis negotiator and mental health professionals who engaged with the man throughout the overnight hours and into Tuesday afternoon, investigators said. The incident ended peacefully when the man was taken into custody by New Jersey State Police, authorities said. He was charged with robbery, obstruction, and weapons-related offenses. The department said other charges may be filed as the investigation continues. It was unclear if any of the weapons were actually inside the RV. The man suffered a minor injury at some point during the incident and was taken to a local hospital for treatment, police said. No officers or members of the public were injured. And a little disappointing.
Here's what I would also add. So I found this article about it from NBC News in Philadelphia. It was a 16-hour barricade.
Yeah, it sounded like it started Monday night and then went into Tuesday afternoon, which then made me wonder, like, how long do you go in just silence if you're part of the negotiation team?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you need to hear from this guy every, 30 minutes? And then if you have to, then he's obviously not getting any sleep. which then again leads me back to the drugs. Like, was he hopped up on something that allowed him to just sustain this over this period of time? Also, I guess like it seems like it ended relatively peacefully, so he just gave up at some point. What I don't know what the grand plan in all of this was. It feels like someone who made a bad decision early and then held their ground and then just progressively realized that it was a dumb decision.
I'm confused by some of the decisions by the law enforcement here. It says law enforcement officers repeatedly communicated over a loudspeaker, telling the person inside there was a phone by the window. Authorities also deployed a robot, a drone, and K9 units during the operation. What are you doing with all that when it's just an RV? You know where he's at.
Well, there's a lot of questions here. The drone, the robot was maybe checking to see dogs, drugs sniffing,
maybe
bombs. I meant the robot was checking for bombs.
Well, and then there was the potential of him having a flamethrower, so that's why they would have robots and drones around just in case.
Okay, sure. Okay, that makes sense
for that scenario.
Yeah. Like I don't know, are they whatever? Where do you purchase a flamethrower?
I don't know, but Cam Jurgens got one in the Philadelphia Eagles gift exchange one year. I remember hearing about this, and so I've never seen a picture of Cam Jurgens with the flamethrower.
Doesn't the Mr. Twitter man who runs the account have like a flamethrower object or something? I don't know. I thought it
could be.
I don't know if this is trustworthy.
You just buy them?
That's my thing. So I searched on Google, where can I buy a flamethrower? The first thing that comes up is throwflame.com. Free shipping.
Okay.
You can get an X15 flamethrower for a couple grand.
All right. Well, that is.
So you can just buy them online.
That's good to know. I have an opinion. You should not be able to buy a flamethrower if you have. Actually, I don't know about that, but if you have other opinions, get them in. I have an opinion coming up next, 8:00 hour on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back in here, Happer and Schaefer, 8 o'clock hour on a Thursday, and that can only mean one thing. It is time for opinions. We have quite a few to get to, but we always want more. We want more opinions. I don't care how you get them to us. You can hit us up, Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Call in. Someone call in with an opinion today, 951-1620. Equitable Bank inbox. You can send them to Joey or myself, Joey at 1620thezone.com, Mike at 1620thezone.com. You can, of course, text them in as well. We have some from the text line. You can tweet them at HappenShave as well. Joey, do we have any tweets so far today?
Not at the moment.
Okay, so we'll move that out. I think we'll just start with we got a couple from the Equitable Bank inbox. We will start there today with I have an opinion, including one that Happer wanted to make sure that I saw. I have an opinion. Stop making remote controls for TVs small and black. I lose them all the time, especially at night and in the couch somewhere. They should be the size of a Motorola brick phone and glow in the dark lime green.
Oh, basically my phone.
I don't really hate this. I have lost one Roku remote ever. I have no idea what happened to it. I think I have a tendency to walk around. Like we have almost all of our televisions like mounted on the wall. Mm-hmm. And so I tend to like stand. My kitchen and living room all flow together into the same thing. So I kind of tend to stand and watch TV at times. Yeah. And so I carry the remote around with me, which isn't usually an issue. It'll get set on the counter or it'll be on the couch. So they're usually the two places, occasionally the mantle. However, this one night, I think I put it in my pocket and then I think I put it in the pantry. It has never since been recovered. I don't know where this remote went. Wow. I had to go buy a new remote to replace it.
That's crazy.
I am still mad about it. And it's probably been 8 months at this point.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, see, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in my house, but we cannot find it.
I just dedicate a Sunday to go find your remote.
You think that, but I've checked all of the logical.
Do you live in a mansion?
I do not live in a mansion.
Well, it can't be that difficult to sift through.
It could only be on one level of the house.
Okay.
Right.
So this is like
I have checked all of the requisite places. The only thoughts that I have is it somehow got put somewhere in the pantry and cannot be located in there, or it got thrown away. That's the only logical conclusions that I can come to. So I agree with Doug's opinion here. I think this is bad take, Doug. I think this is a good opinion.
Yeah. The remote I have for my new TV, you could charge it. You don't. It's a chargeable one. You charge it on like a phone port, or you just leave it out with sunlight. It's one of those solar remotes.
Okay, how's that work,
Joey?
Yeah, I don't know. I just lay it around and
you just let it bask out in the sun on your balcony during the day.
No, I don't. I think it gets through the window. But it's is
it like a plant? A little sunlight required?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I've had it for 2 months already, but it's a very tiny remote. So I
think I'm going to try to buy you a plant that you have to put in the sun some of the time with a little holder that you can put your remote on there, and you can have your remote being held with your plant.
Can you buy a pot and get some little mulch or dirt or something?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Add some Connor's grass from his new place.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Decorate it. Make it look beautiful.
We'll get you your own little planter's box inside your apartment.
This is where I miss cable, because the cable remotes were massive.
Yeah, they're large. This is what I think his complaint is that if you just end up with like a streaming TV, chances are you have everything.
Like I'm pretty sure it's impossible to buy a not smart TV nowadays.
Probably. I mean, here's my thing. I never use the smart suite on the actual television. I just go get a Roku stick because I think Roku is significantly better than any smart suite.
So even on a smart TV, you'll just go get the Roku.
I agree with that.
And so, like, I haven't even
thought about that.
This, like, when I first moved into my house in Lincoln, a few years ago, I had basically had this deal with Best Buy where they had to have to come in and mount the TV for me. It was like part of this package. When you buy a house, like they used to do this where you could like sign up for something and they would have to basically, as part of it, they would install everything.
Whoa.
And it was
unbelievable
deal.
If you're a member,
they quickly realized they had to get rid of that package because they were losing money.
Sure.
And so I took advantage of it. It was great. But the guy was making fun of me for wanting the Roku stick. He's like, you have a smart TV. And I was like, do you understand all of the apps that contractually cannot go on the TV that I can get through Roku? And he's just looking at me. He's like, well, what do you need? And I was like, well, this. And he's like, oh, I don't watch sports.
What is your your most used Roku app? Both of you.
Well, it's got to be some combination of Netflix, MLB, the MLB app, and now YouTube TV.
Yeah,
those three.
Joey,
I would say Hulu, Netflix, YouTube TV, and then during the NBA season, I have my team pass.
You have to have League Pass.
Have League Pass.
I have team
Joey's
pass.
A big basketball guy.
I got the team pass. I watched the Celtics.
You only do the Celtics. You don't do the whole league.
Yeah. There's an option where you could just watch a particular.
It's cheaper
team.
that way.
It's cheaper.
See, speaking of League Pass, there was a time, I think 2 years ago, I actually bought League Pass because I thought, I'm going to try to become an NBA guy for the Bulls. And I think I lasted 2 games.
Well, your problem was the Bulls.
Yeah.
That's a huge red flag.
MLB TV it's just an automatic subscription.
I think they are still the best at like league specific streaming. Everybody uses their model now. And has either tried to hire away their people or just ask for them to run things.
Yeah.
So they're really good at what they do. All right. Old Man Doug has opinions. A lot of Old Man Doug today. Okay, here's what he says. You only get to be a fan of one team per sport, and there has to be some logic to it. If you claim to be a fan of a team, then you are pissed and in a bad mood when they lose. If not, you're not a fan of that team, so don't claim to be one. That is all. Carry on. How do you feel about these?
I like that. I like that idea. To where if
I think there needs to be an emotional connection. I don't know how you forge it. So when it says there has to be a logic to it, there was absolutely no logic for a young Mike Schaefer to be a fan of the Sonics, the Cleveland Indians, the Minnesota Vikings, and growing up in Nebraska as a Nebraska college fan.
This is my thing. Like I don't tell people how to be a fan necessarily. So like whatever logic that is for you,
I pick players.
I can't sit. Yeah.
Sean Kemp, Albert Bell, 100%. And Randy Moss.
In the professional model,
clearly I wanted a very, very good role model based off of those 3 players.
It's in the professional side of things, especially in a market like, well, for me, it was Lincoln, where you didn't have professional sports or even Nebraska. It was, okay, what players am I gravitating towards? And it's those are the teams that I start to watch. I think, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell Joey, like, that's not a good enough of emotional connection. Right? Like that's
Joey's got an emotional connection.
Right, exactly. So, like, for example, like mine, I don't know if anybody knows this. Mine's Notre Dame right now because of Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman is my favorite college football coach in the country. And it stems from when he was at Cincinnati as the defensive coordinator. But
does this also stem from a little bit of your Catholic upbringing?
No, actually not at all.
It's weird. I know more Catholic people that hate Notre Dame than ones that actually, like, because of the Catholicism, end up liking Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, but I like when they went to Indiana 2 years ago in the playoff, like I was fully invested in Notre Dame, and I'm fully invested in CJ Carr this year, sophomore jump.
People aren't going to like this opinion.
That's fine, but there's my opinion on I have an opinion.
Just saying, that is not going to be received well.
That's fine.
Notre Dame is very divisive. I am okay with Notre Dame. Like I have always felt college football is better when they're good. Like they are a premier brand. I want them to be good.
And it wasn't good when they did not get that last spot in the college football playoff.
No, it was not.
And like, granted, now like I was frustrated when they chose not to play last. Like I get it. I was. So there's the emotional connection that Old Man Doug was talking about. I was pissed when they didn't want to play.
Okay, so what we have here is, I think this is an opinion from Thomas. Jayskers are Kansas basketball fans, Nebraska football fans. I 100% agree with this. This is the origination of Jayskers. It then became Creighton basketball because there seemed to be more of them after Dana Altman got things going. But in the 90s, it was definitely the Kansas basketball and Nebraska football.
Got a lot of Paul Pierce fans during the 90s.
Oh, disgusting. Even worse. It's even worse because they were in the same conference. As to the Lincoln bubble, it's more than just sports. Lincoln is awful generally because of this. It doesn't go on to say. All of this was written in the subject line, by the way. There is no body to the paragraph, which I find hilarious.
I actually did not know that it stemmed from Kansas
necessarily.
I mean, now granted, that was before my time, but I didn't know that it stemmed from Kansas. I mean, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense.
To me, that was the origination of a J-Skirt. When I was calling people J-Skirts, it wasn't even related to Creighton. It was related to Kansas. Because there was a fair amount of people when I grew up that cared about Nebraska football in the fall and then immediately had their Kansas starter jackets on for basketball in the winter.
Which city, Lincoln or Omaha, cares more about J-Skirts? Like whether gets frustrated about
I don't know.
Gets frustrated over J-Skirts.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say Lincoln.
Okay, because that would be my initial answer. But like, here's the thing: is frankly, when I was doing sports radio in Lincoln for 5.5 years, not once did we ever bring up J-Skirts. Like never was there a text that said, "Hey, how do you feel about J-Skirts?"
No, I know Sorensen did because he's a lot more invested in the basketball aspect of it than I think you would be from like the fandom part of it. But yeah, I mean, it's not that far away, and yet Creighton just does not register on the radar except when Nebraska plays Creighton.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a weird dichotomy.
If you were to ask just people that lived in Lincoln that don't follow Creighton basketball, hey, give me who is Marcus Zagorowski? I don't know. I think a very small percentage would be able to tell you. In Lincoln.
I was just having a conversation last night where they were talking to me about a UConn player that was on one of the championship teams a few years ago who's now in the NBA. I can't even remember what his name is from this conversation last night.
Oh,
I was drawing a blank. I don't even remember.
Donovan Clingan?
Was that?
Donovan Clingan?
No.
My mind went Jeremy Lamb.
He's on the Houston Rockets.
He
was an All-American at UConn, and I genuinely have no idea who this individual was.
I can take a look.
So Joey can look that up. We'll get to some of the opinions on the text line here. We have this from John. I have an opinion. If you get behind someone driving with their window down, an elbow on the door, especially if they are smoking a cigarette, you need to get past that person as quickly as possible. They have nowhere to be and don't care how slow they are driving. They will mess up whatever you were trying to do.
Driving in Nebraska is just garbage anyway. I have so many feelings on
they're
streets.
Terrible.
Thank you.
This is a show that welcomes those feelings. This is a segment that certainly welcomes those feelings.
A lot of driving talk in this particular segment.
15% to 20% of all I have in opinions are about traffic, driving, cars,
common sense, traffic etiquette, road rage.
Like, don't get me wrong, Lincoln is worse than Omaha, but as a guy that's now starting to get acclimated to Omaha and the way to get to work, there's no, like, granted, the interstate's great in Omaha. The interstate doesn't do anything for Lincoln, but like, I have.
Well,
I'm not organized in my opinions. I just have them.
Okay, you can take your time with this.
Thank you,
Joey. I'm probably going to need your help as my computer refuses to work with text.
Okay. Let me take a look. All right, this is from the 402. This is going back to our headline segment. I have an opinion. I should have bought a Boring Company flamethrower back in 2017 when I had a chance.
Certainly. I mean, if you had a chance to buy a flamethrower and now you can't have a flamethrower, you probably missed out. Though I guess Nick tells me that you can just buy it online.
But like, okay, so what's a common man doing with a flamethrower though?
Setting stuff on fire, I assume.
Lighting candles.
From 30 feet away.
Joey, I don't think the candles survive.
From 30 feet away. I was reading some of these, like the smallest flamethrower that you can buy on throwflame.com is one that shoots 30 feet.
I assume there's like an actual reason for maybe a farmer or people that are trying to, I don't know if you're trying to like with fields or something. There's got to be some purpose to it. It can't just be a GTA related thing where you get the flamethrower and you go nuts.
Are you going to be on the GTA 6 when it comes out?
I think I will probably play it. I don't know that I will get it like immediately. I don't know.
I'm on that borderline.
I don't have enough time as it is for video games. And what little time I do have is currently spent trying to turn UTEP into a powerhouse. But
does Happer still play MLB The Show Dynasties? Do you guys know off the top of your head?
He's not mentioned that during the show. Well, that could be a question to ask him on Monday. Here's an opinion from the 402. I have an opinion. If Nick wore a blue shirt, he'd look like a swimming pool.
Thank you, Joey, for bringing that one up.
Yeah, this is Nick's nickname for a while on Lincoln was Big Swim because he once wore a blue shirt, and Sipple is the one that originated this.
Yeah, so I can tell the story briefly. I've gotten really good at condensing the story because I've told it a few times. I was much larger. I've lost about 60 pounds in the last 2 years or so. I was 23 years old. I walked into the studio and I was wearing a bright teal polo, and Sipple looks at me and goes, Nick's here wearing a bright blue polo. He looks like a big swimming pool, big swim. And then I was like, okay, you know what? That was just Sipple thinking it. Well, then Big Ten Media Days 2023, I'm sitting at St. Elmo's Steakhouse, and Jake Sorensen and I, we can talk to Jake about this tomorrow. We ran into Brad Nessler and Matt Castle, and we took a picture, and it was a side profile of me. And I was like, Nick, you're 23 and you're large. You got to do something about this. So Sip actually ignited my weight loss journey, but then
look at that.
But then everybody just took the big off of Big Swim, and then it was just swim. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so I'm back here. We have one from Pedro that I think he wants me specifically to read. So I will. Pedro, a great listener, a great friend of the Happer and Schaefer show. I will do this for Pedro. Hi guys, I have another opinion. Ryan Kalkbrenner, Doug McDermott, Josh Jones are great Creighton players. Just wanted Mike Schaefer to say that on the radio. There's your opinion, Pedro. He has another one. Hi, guys. I have an opinion. Coach Solich was one of the greatest players to come out of Nebraska. A 5'8", I am really questioning 5'8" here, a 5'8" fullback who created holes for other running backs and led the Huskers to a 10-1 season with its only loss to Alabama. Name any other player with his limited physical abilities who did so much with that talent, was named captain of his team. The only other person I can think of, and I don't know that he was limited, he was a great athlete, Brandon Rigoni was not a big player, but was beloved by the teams that he was on for the special teams player that he was. I mean, he was a gunner. He was kind of a kamikaze on your kick coverage. It's kind of the only other like relatively short player that I can think of. Marcus Mendoza was a heck of a workout guy.
Yeah.
But again, not limited physical ability, just limited height.
Yeah, I would agree.
So we have some more we will get to here. Well, people were saying flamethrowers could be used to clear snow, which makes sense. It's actually seems like a decent
not a bad idea.
Old man Doug says flamethrowers are to ward off bandwagon fans. So that could work. And brush, you can use it to kill weeds and brush. That's what I was thinking the farm application of it could be for. I got a text asking me from a Good Samaritan that says his friend Eric has some opinions that he wants to share. And Eric says Husker football and basketball will both be undefeated this year and win 2 natties, maybe softball too. Eric feels like Jordy Fromm will pitch with a mask on and no one will notice. So she'll continue to play and Nebraska will win with that. Once again, these are from Eric. Yeah. The Good Samaritan says his phone is not working, and these are Eric's opinions. So I clearly,
Eric, that's a hell of an opinion.
Clearly, Eric has strong feelings on what might happen for Nebraska athletics here, in the upcoming season. So we've got those as well. Do we have any come in from text or not text? Any from Twitter? Anything pop up there?
But we have a response. We have a tweet from Connor directed at us. He is losing it right now.
Okay.
Quote, I am losing it right now.
Okay. About Big Swim?
Probably.
Yeah. You really probably thought that you would not have to hear or even talk about Big Swimming.
No, it's one of those things. It just follows me wherever I go. I'll be at Pinnacle Bank Arena for like a Husker basketball game. And I would be there as a media member and I would be walking on the concourse and I would hear it. I'm genuinely convinced people don't know my name. They just know me as Swim. And I was always when I got into this, I was like, I'm not getting a nickname. I'm not doing the nickname thing. I'm just going to be Nick. It's easy to just talk about and say Nick.
You already have a nickname. You have a nickname.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
but no, now I got this stupid Swim name that I can never shake. But it's somehow stuck, and I hate to admit that it's stuck, and it rolls off the tongue, and here we are.
Do we have any on the StreamYard? I sometimes forget to get there on stuff. I'm not seeing any IHAOs, so that might be it for us.
Do we all have opinions we want to share for the next few minutes?
If you have one, let it rip. This is a great opportunity.
I don't have one I don't have one at the moment.
I always have them. Don't write them down, and then they are not available for me to get to at this moment in my brain. I mean, I have just the standard one right now. I saw a pack of them as I was driving home last night at 9:30. The electric scooters, man. I don't know if I am only a parent of a 2.5-year-old. I would have some questions about letting my 10-year-old be on a 35-mile-per-hour scooter without a helmet at 9:50 at night. But you do you.
You don't like electric scooters? How do you feel about the birds?
I don't think they're like safe for like 10-year-olds going around the neighborhood.
I know.
But
the ones that we see throughout the city where you have to use your phone to activate it, people are either driving it on the sidewalks or on the streets. They're
supposed to be on the streets.
Yeah, they're supposed to be on the streets. But there's people that just disobey that policy. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of those.
Really?
Yeah,
I love them.
Well, they're a nuisance.
When they help you get from place to place and they're used correctly, fine.
Yeah.
When it's like teenage kids that want to play games of chickens with cars or pedestrians,
that's the problem.
That's kind of the issue.
It's not the.
And we're seeing accidents, and it's you're putting a lot of people at risk this way.
So it's the people that are the problem.
It's always the people.
It's always the human nature aspect.
At no point in society has a problem ever been anything other than people.
Yeah.
That's the common denominator with all problems. It starts with people.
Great point.
Okay.
That's your opinion.
We'll head a break here. We'll come back. We're going to have Brian Christopherson join us from Husker 24/7. We'll get into all things Nebraska football. We'll see what's been going on with Brian, where they're at with their most indispensable Huskers list, his thoughts on things ahead of Big Ten Media Day. All that and more here on Happer and Schaefer.
I'm a cymbal man. I'm a cymbal man. I'm a cymbal man. I'm a cymbal man.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back here on Happer and Schaefer. Nick Sehnert in for Connor Happer today. And on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline, we have Husker 24/7's Brian Christopherson. Brian, how we doing on a Thursday?
I'm excellent, Schaefer. How are you?
I'm good. Do you, before we get into the football, what do you want the Twins to actually do at the trade deadline? I'm sure you're trying not to pay too much attention to this season. They are much better than I thought they would be. I thought this was going to be the worst team in baseball when the year started, but they have been more competitive than I would have guessed. Roger Clemens' kid hits more home runs than I might have guessed. And they have a couple of the big trade pieces in your guy, Byron Buxton, and Joe Ryan. What would you like to see the Twins actually do at the deadline? I guess Ryan Jeffers could be moved as well.
Yeah, I don't want him to do much because I'm old enough that I remember when you had a group of guys you kind of grew with and you had a few years with. I want him to keep Buxton. I'm realistic about the fact Joe Ryan could be moved on. The one that I could part with, he's a good player. He's a good hitter for catchers, Ryan Jeffers, but I could live with it if they got some pitching in return. So that's sort of my little carrot that I'd put out there is like Ryan Jeffers here. Give us three guys who could actually get a little done in the bullpen because as you know, Schaefer, they went into the season with a bullpen of guys who seem like they're going to be should be double-A players.
Right.
I was not paying attention at all. And then at the All-Star break, I was like, man, they're only a game under 500 and they're technically in the wild card spot. And they beat the Cubs the first day out of the break. And then they got outscored 40-8 over the next 4 games. And I started watching them again. So I'm going to go back to not watching them.
Well, they won last night. They took it to Mike Guardians. I will say with the Buxton thing, he does seem like he wants to stay in Minnesota. That should matter to them, right? Like he doesn't seem like he's interested in waiving a no trade clause. I mean, I know the Braves would love to have him, but it seems like he wants to be in Minnesota.
Yeah, and the Twins, Buxton's been a good Twin, but the last couple of years when he's been healthy, he's been great.
He's been phenomenal. He's been finally kind of the prince that was promised.
Yeah, so we've kind of waited that out. So it's sort of like, man, we spent all this time getting to this point. I don't want to let it go. So yeah.
No, I definitely understand that. All right.
But yeah, I hope Buxton sticks around, and I'll leave the Twins talk there. I'm sure the listeners are not dying for it.
A week from now, you and Bruns will be quoting The Fugitive back to each other a bunch. Nebraska, I don't know what time they'll go on Thursday. I don't know if you'll still be, friendly enough to do our show. If you'll be too busy Thursday morning, we'll have to figure all of that out for next week. Where are your thoughts on things as we kind of get closer to the start of Big Ten Media Days? What are you sort of hoping to learn from Nebraska over at this event in Chicago?
Usually at those events, I'm more interested in when you go table to table with the players, you actually do sometimes get a deeper feature, on, Justin Evans is to me as valuable as any Husker. And we kind of know his story, but sometimes at media days, you will actually get a much fuller story of a guy's sort of situation and how he got here, sort of the things he's been through. There's just more time, and the player is sometimes more open to talking about it because they know that's what they're there for. And so I always enjoyed that part of it more than any, there's not going to be some probably massive storyline where oh, that shocked us. I mean, I'm sure we're going to want to know what Matt Rule has to say about Mekhi Nelson's situation. There's some news items to clear up and who's healthy, who's not, all that sort of stuff. And beyond that, then I like hearing from the players about sort of what they're seeing in their room, because you do get those annual stories, and they'll be honest about it, about guys who are maybe second or third year players who look out for them. Maybe they're not going to start this year, but they're on the rise. And so there is useful, I think, information like that sometimes comes out of it.
BC, when you look at the 3 reps that are going to be going for Nebraska, and Andrew Marshall, Luke Lindenmeyer, and as you mentioned, Justin Evans, and maybe you kind of already answered this in that first question. I mean, like, is there one that you think is going to steal the show?
No.
Yeah.
Like, I just think they're the type of guys who are just going to be no nonsense with it, which is fine, because it fits the whole off season, right? Like, it's been sort of a just put your head down and go, and those are the type of guys I think that'll carry that forward. I don't know though. Once in a while, there's a guy who, in a setting like that, you see his personality a little bit more, and you never know exactly which one that's going to be. Andrew Marshall's got an interesting backstory, with coming up through the Idaho program when Orich was there, and he knows him as a coach well. And so I'm sure people will be picking his brain for, whatever information they can get about Nebraska's DC. And obviously he's a guy who showed how you can merge in quickly as a portal guy, which they're going to need their new class of portal guys to do this season. And so there's various topics I think that a player like him could branch out into. But I do think, truthfully, it's probably a crew that they're not going to say more than they have to say, and that's probably fine with Nebraska, honestly.
BC, I was talking with Damon Benning yesterday, and he was talking about Tyler Yelk, and it sort of spurred in my brain, like, that's not a guy I feel like I've heard or thought much of, but it seems like he is the safeties coach. He's given a ton of responsibility there. We know he's got a history with Rob Arch. What have you kind of learned about Tyler Yelk throughout sort of this process? And when you've talked with different safeties, what they've sort of told you about him this spring when he was coaching Nebraska safeties and his first foray here at Nebraska?
Well, he's a guy that I think Rob Orch has a lot of trust in. They've crossed paths before. He has the NFL experience, which I think players are always intrigued by. It kind of makes them sit up a little bit when it's like, okay, even if he wasn't like a main assistant coach on an NFL team, he was in an organization. He knows what those athletes look like and what the process of work has to be successful. He's got one of the most interesting position groups in fall camp to me, because if you go through like a list of, okay, what are like 5 position battles, the safety spot next to, I assume Dwayne McCullough is going to win one of the jobs. I've been very high, and I've said it on this show a lot, on Jameer Khan, and I think if you paid close attention in the spring, players and coaches are kind of leading you toward Jameer Khan's going to matter a lot. He was number 14 on our indispensable list. I think it's probably way higher than other people had him, but that's based off everything I heard in the spring. Like, I think he's going to be tough to beat out. That said, Tyler Yelk's got some guys to think about there. And, Rex Guthrie played a lot of football as a redshirt freshman. He played some of it while he was injured late before that labrum surgery. And he's a guy whose traits the staff has absolutely loved, his physical, like testing scores and stuff like that. And he did okay last year and getting thrown right into it as a young player. He's got room to grow, but he's going to push for that job. So you've got Guthrie, you've got Khan, you've got guys like Caleb Benning, those guys like in their third year now. That's an interesting part of this roster, third year guys like Caleb. I mean, there's more than 40 of them, of the 117 guys on this roster, guys who have been here a year or two, who maybe they've been a little bit on the fringe as the 2 deep so far, but this would be the season that those guys are going to have a chance to show their development, and also in a way for this coaching staff, which wants to be, I think, known as a development staff, to prove it with those third and fourth year players. So that there's some of those at that safety spot that Yelk's working with as well.
Here's a third-year guy that there's been a little bit of conversation about recently. Part of it, he was just on Sports Nightly and talked with Kyle Crooks, but he's a really sort of interesting player as to what Nebraska can get out of him. Not going to be a starter, but what is your expectations? What do you think Nebraska can get out of a guy like Carter Nelson? A really big recruiting win for them a couple years ago. Had to adjust from playing 8-man football to playing 11-man football. Had to adjust to being more more on his plate as a blocker, as a receiver, certainly more than he had to do when he was playing 8-man football where he's a quarterback and the best athlete on the field. What do you think happens for a guy like Carter Nelson? How can he utilize this year and how can he help Nebraska?
I don't want to make bold predictions for him, but I have to think he's got a bounce in his step right now because I think he has left a couple of the injuries behind. I think the 5-and-5 rule is great for Carter Nelson. Like we always talk about the guys who are the fourth-year seniors like Calandria who, they get another year now with that. That's interesting. And that obviously that's where that conversation is going to start. But I also, when I think about the 5-and-5, think about a player like Carter Nelson, who he has been in the program 2 years and hasn't redshirted. And if it weren't for the new rule, you'd be like, oh man, he's only got 2 years left in that old scenario. And it feels like he should have maybe had a red shirt one of those, and then we'd see what he could do. Well, now the way it is, he's got 3 years to go. And so it's a pretty cool spot to be in, I think, if you're him, where, maybe it hasn't gone exactly as some would have imagined it, but you fought through the injuries. You've learned you grew as a tight end last year after starting as a receiver. I think he can be versatile. I know there was a discussion about what he's playing and all that the other day, but if he's at his best, the thing I think Carter Nelson could do is he would ideally be a guy you can move around and be a tough matchup for people. And so hopefully that's what we see. I thought the quote that stood out when he did his Sports Nightly interview was it was a intense quote, sort of a kill or be killed kind of quote. But I think he's going into this fall, it seemed like, with that mindset, like I got to have that sort of aggression and sort of show that in my game. And then my physical talents can sort of take over from there. It's wide open at tight end after Lindenmeyer, so that should also excite him.
Last thing for you here, BC. Nick and I had a conversation that touched on a variety of different things, Nebraska football, but one of the longer portions of it was Mike Eckler no longer being Nebraska special teams coordinator. You now have Nick Humphreys. You have Brett Maher. What, as you sort of get re-familiar and you go through the off season and things are white hot at times when you talk about it, then you sort of forget about it. I know you just did an off-season checkup on special teams. What stands out to you besides just the fact you're going to have different voices in that room for what's out there for Nebraska to accomplish special teams wise in 2026?
I'm curious what Maher, how he can help develop Archie Wilson this year, because we make the jokes about the Big Ten, sort of the old Big Ten West jokes about punting from the other team's 38-yard line and sort of the Iowa stuff. But we've seen in this league what a weapon it can be if you have that guy who can pretty consistently pin people deep or has that cannon shot in his bag where he could hit that 55-yarder when you need it. And I think one of the things Archie had to grow used to last year was the wind and dealing with that. But I think Nebraska coaches, and Brett Maher said this in his spring quote, had to grow used to with Archie, was he's actually got so many different tools in his toolkit that he can use. I think, you sometimes have to get back to a little bit like, but let's not lose sight of within that. There's a guy who can hit some missiles probably, right? Like there's more to it than like what his punting average was a year ago and just hitting the straight ball effectively sometimes. And I think that's something I'd love to see him grow, because Nebraska did a lot of good things on special teams last year. They took a step. But they lost some games, too, in that category. They lost the bowl game pretty severely in that category when they tried to take out every kick return and got nailed at the 12-yard line like 4 times. So there are, I think, lessons you can learn about. Like, I think the net punting average can climb, and I think kick return can still be a weapon. But we used to have this conversation all the time. There's something to be said for waving the hand and taking it at the 25 once in a while too. So I think it'll be interesting how Brett Maher, Nick Humphrey sort of weigh like parts of the special teams operation like that, when to go for it, when to, hold your hand for the next one. That's all going to be pretty interesting to watch play out, especially with that first Big Ten game. I know Fitzgerald brought in, LeVar Woods up there as the coordinator. Like that's the first one for, your first Big Ten challenge, and special teams might settle a game like that. So we'll see early on sort of where they're going and what they're made of.
All right, BT, appreciate you joining us here as always on Thursday. I hope to catch up with you again next week from Chicago with Big Ten Media Days. Have a great weekend.
All right, thanks, guys.
That was Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Always appreciate getting the goods from him as well as we inch closer to the actual football season here. You know what else we're inching closer to? 1620, the Zone Golf Tournament. It is happening next month in August. It'll be at Miracle Hills over there. What is right over kind of in Joey's hood, right? 120th.
Around 120th and Blondo.
Yeah. It's could not come up with the cross street that I wanted.
It's between Dodge.
Could not find it.
It's between Dodge and Blondo.
There we go.
On 120th. Yeah.
So Miracle Hills, that's going to be on Friday, August 21st. Plenty of spots available. Shotgun start 8:30 a.m. $400 buy-in for your 4-player team. Registration includes 18 holes of championship golf, exclusive player gifts handed out at check-in, complimentary foods and beverages, and VIP access to the after party at the Phoenix. After party, okay, what are we talking about there? After the tournament, head over to the Phoenix, located at 120th and Blondo, for the official after party. I believe Unsportsmanlike Conduct will be doing their show Friday from the Phoenix, so you want to check that out. Bring your A game to this. For the par 3s, you'll have a chance to take home $10,000 for a hole-in-one, proudly sponsored by our good friends over at Langfelt Overhead Doors. Get over to 1620thezone.com. Register your team today, courtesy of Cutwater and T-Box as well. We will be back finishing up the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to talk a little Tom Osborne. He just became the first person to do something. What? Find out next here on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back here. Happer and Schaefer finishing up the 8 o'clock hour. We were going to talk a little Tom Osborne, but we got a phone call during the break, and Charlie is going to join us. He either has a question or an opinion, something related to the WNBA. I am fascinated to find out where this is going to go. Charlie, what's going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're fascinated because we don't talk about the WNBA nearly enough.
Okay. I will admit it is a blind spot on the I know what is happening because the coverage of it is pretty good. Yeah. And everything that seems to happen with the WNBA, like the real NBA, has nothing to do with what's going on the court. Everything is off the court, whether it's the 3-point contest, Caitlin Clark picked up another technical foul. Like, I'm aware of all of these things. It's just, it seems like nobody cares about what's happening on the court.
Sure. Oh, you read my mind. I was like the reason I called you guys, because I'm in the group chat with my buddies and we're just talking. It's like, how come I know the drama, but I don't know anybody's records? I don't know anybody's stats. Nobody talks about, who's leading the division or anything like that. All I see, all the reporting is on the drama. And isn't that just typical NBA versus WNBA, men versus women? There's like facts and stats, and then there's drama and more drama. Why is that? Why do you think the NBA, who owns the WNBA, and their PR team, do you think they angle it this way so that the journalists pick up on the drama and not the lack of skill that's actually on the court?
No, I think it's
on the court.
I genuinely think it's part of basketball coverage. Like, it's just there seems to be more than any other sport a larger interest in the athletes beyond their actual competition. Like in football, we talk about the games a lot. In baseball, when people talk about it, it's about either the games or the stats. In basketball, it's the personalities and the people involved. Like, I've long made fun of the NBA because it seems like nobody cares what the records are. And then when the playoffs start, you realize these guys are incredibly good and the games can be incredibly good, but it takes until the playoffs for that to matter. Otherwise, it's all legacy talk and personalities. I think the WNBA is following a similar blueprint.
Okay, yeah, I guess I kind of agree with that. I don't even know if Big Red has a 3-game runway, a 3-0 runway this year. It's going to be that thing is not paved. That runway is bumpy.
For Nebraska football?
Yeah.
You don't think they can go 3-0 against Ohio, Bowling Green, and North Dakota?
Oh, I think they can. You didn't really listen to me very well, did you? But I think they can.
You think it's bumpy?
I don't think. Can you drive down a bumpy road? God, you guys are dumb.
Okay, Charlie. Well, I appreciate that. I didn't understand where you were going there with it, but we appreciate the phone call. I don't know what I missed. Maybe I missed something.
No, that changed dramatically. First off, I mean,
I apologize. I probably missed something.
No, I don't think you did. I was getting ready to kind of talk. I know we're up against the break, but I was getting ready to kind of talk about that. I do think there's a conversation to be had about the way that the leagues are marketed.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Like, I think some leagues have it figured out and some dive way too far into the antics.
Yeah.
And it makes it hard to cheer for.
I know a lot more people that are very much into the WNBA, but the drama is definitely taking over there. All right, we got to get to a break. We'll come back. We'll get Tom Osborne free balling next.
Free balling now, free balling now.
It's time for Free Balling, where the producer reads questions on things happening in the world of sports. Connor and Mike will have the answers.
I hadn't considered what it would be like to be a guest host, not know that Free Ballin' was coming up, and then hearing that play out.
I got to be honest. I don't know what I said yes to when I guest hosted this morning. I was going to say that earlier, that I just don't. There was a lot of ball references.
Yep. Ballsiest show on 1620.
Yeah, there was a lot.
People say.
And there's,
we're saying it.
4-hour show is a pretty decent sized show. And at the end of the day, I didn't know what was going to happen over these next 4 hours.
So this is a revolutionary thing, especially at 1620 The Zone, but we will have Joey ask us questions.
The producer gets to
about
read
things happening in the
the world of sports.
The sports world. No one has ever considered doing anything like this. And in honor of Julian Lewis and how Colorado chose not to study defenses,
sure,
we wanted to call the segment Free Ball.
I love it.
All right, guys, we did not get to this in the last segment, but Tom Osborne becomes the first living inductee in the Nebraska State Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts?
It's, I think, a worthy for the first person to ever be alive, as he's earned the honor. It's yet another worthy honor for Tom Osborne. What I'm most interested in, Nick, what is Tom Osborne to you? Like the athletic director? But even then, you were 12 at the time that he would have been athletic, like the last year that he was the athletic director?
Yeah. To me, I know him as, well, I should say this, through my professional career, you know him as because dealing with a lot of former players and stuff, you know him as the coach, or, you
also the guy involved in teammates too.
Big time. Get to know him as who he was as a coach and how he operated. But to me, like growing up, I was the athletic director.
Yeah.
A little bit of the Congress side, a little bit. But anyway,
by the time you would have been about 7, that was done.
Yes, exactly. But I was aware of it. Last thing I will say, I was more fascinated that normally for the Nebraska Hall of Fame, you have to wait 35 years until after someone has died. That's the problem with Hall of Fames nowadays, though, is that you can't give people their flowers until they're gone. And I don't like that. A lot
of them are starting to, they want to make sure they do that when someone has the opportunity to actually feel the recognition of what they do. We've seen certainly more with the phone calls and the video of like getting the actual reaction to learning that you're a Hall of Fame member. Tom Osborne is as deserving and is as representative of what Nebraska and things that matter to people in Nebraska, all the different roles. I mean, and honestly, the football side of it is a piece of it, but teammates is huge.
Oh, it's massive.
Someone who was involved in the teammates program and had a teammate in Lincoln and everything, like, it's an unbelievable organization. It's a great program, and it's a great thing. Yeah, it is truly a great thing.
Yeah, and it's grown. I just played in a golf tournament out at Wild Horse this last weekend for teammates, and the number of former athletes, but also current athletes that were there, and it connects a lot of them. I mean, now you have branching off of it, you have the Nebraska Greats Foundation, things like that. I mean, there's been so much that has built where teammates has been the catalyst of it all.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
After hearing from a few of them, which of the new SEC coaches, sorry, Lane, do you think has the best chance to turn his team into a consistent contender?
All right, where you mentioned you think you're in on John Summerall because he cusses a lot.
No, that's not why I'm in on John Summerall.
That seemed to be the reason that you were getting.
He's very upfront and honest, and I think that's something that college football needs are guys that aren't just mouthpieces for the sport, but then also that are going to tell you exactly how they feel. I do think that also location and geography matters. We talked about Miami earlier in the show and the turnaround that Cristobal has been able to have there. John Summerall is going to get a chance to do it at a Power 5 school now. Tulane, I mean, he had a good team when they played Ole Miss in the playoff. It just obviously Ole Miss and Trinidad Chambliss kind of, in his words, beat their you-know-what. And so ultimately, I do think Florida has a chance to turn things around. Now, are they a national championship contender? I don't know if John Summerall's that guy.
Yeah, so it's interesting. These are your new guys. You have Ryan Silverfield, who came over from Memphis. He's at Arkansas. That's a really tough job. They're not going to put the NIL on it that other teams are. Alex Golesh from USF is at Auburn now. You mentioned John Summerall of Florida. Not really new because his coaching experience came coaching in the college football playoff where they won multiple games. But Pete Golding, I think, needs to be mentioned too from Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's not new. He's at LSU. We know they're going to be a contender, so he's not really part of this. I think for me, a lot of it is kind of, can Alex Golesh win enough early to survive the cannibalism that is Auburn? Because that's a place that even more than Florida recently, like Auburn, when it's good there, you can win at a really high level.
Yeah.
But it is hard to sustainably stay good there. Gus Malzahn was able to do it until he was cannibalized, and then we saw Brian Harsin and Hugh Freeze, and it didn't work out there. I think Alex Golesh is a really interesting coach. I don't know if Auburn is like a great fit.
And like Arkansas, you mentioned with the NIL piece, like Ryan Silverfield just didn't move the needle.
Right. Well, they didn't want to pay for it.
No.
They're focused on John Calipari at basketball.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily going great either.
Yeah.
In terms of what they expect or out with what they put into it.
No doubt.
Yankees utility man Jose Calabero feels like MLB has targeted him after he received a pitch clock violation on Wednesday night. Oh no, Nick, how do you feel about the pitch clock now a few seasons in?
I like it. I feel like, once again, we talk about, this goes off of Charlie's call, talking about marketing. Like the Major League Baseball needed to figure out a way to appease casual fans that want to just be there for the atmosphere. And also just to appease the younger generation that's not a baseball purist and doesn't like the 1-0 games. Pitch clock does that. There's rules that do that. I like the challenges right now. I know you're not asking about that, but I like the challenges system right now a lot. I think baseball's done a really, really good thing the last couple of years in some of the rule changes that they've made.
Yeah, Caballero was kind of notorious for like waiting until the very last second to step in and try to generate pitch clock violations against pitchers. I love that this backfired on him.
Yeah.
And then in typical Yankee fashion, instead of just acknowledging like, hey, I'm doing this, like, no, I'm being targeted.
Exactly.
They're choosing me out of all of these people.
I'll let Jose know how I feel about it when I watch Cubs Yankees next weekend at Wrigley.
Oh,
I'll let him know.
You gonna be in the bleachers or where you're
so Friday we're in the bleachers because it's a day game. Okay. Sunday we're behind the third base dugout. So
I've sat a lot of places in Wrigley Field. I've never sat in the bleachers.
Yeah, I've never sat in the bleachers. When I was there for Game 3 of the division series last year against the Brewers, we sat down the first baseline. Great, it was awesome. But this is gonna be different in the bleachers at a 110 first pitch.
Sure,
I hear wild things happen in the bleachers on 110 first pitches. Beer snakes, Anthony Rizzo catching home run balls.
Yeah, look, it's a totally different world out there from what I understand. I want to experience it. You're not going to love this. Wrigley is such a subpar fan experience for me going to a baseball game.
Sure.
Not because I can't appreciate the history, not because I'm jealous of 2016, though.
Yeah.
I was there before. It's the fact that I hate that there's not an open concourse. I hate that you have to go down underneath for everything. Wait. I hate that like my sight line can be obstructed from this giant pole from 1910.
Hold on, Schaefer. I think we might have found some synergy between us. Are you a big concourse guy?
Love the concourse.
Oh,
love getting up in the fourth inning and walking the concourse. I love being able to move throughout the game, but still watching the game. That's all of my favorite parks are usually downtown ballparks with open concourse.
That's my favorite thing about this whole Nebraska football renovation.
Yeah,
is that you got a concourse, so you're going to be able to walk
around.
We'll
see what it looks like. I have no. If I'm optimistic about Nebraska football, which I don't even know is true, but I get told that I am.
Yeah,
I am the exact opposite as it relates to anything with this stadium at all.
Yeah,
it is very much I'll believe it when I see it, and we'll see how good it is when I experience it. Then
I love concourses. Yeah, it does. It kind of just feels thrown together.
It's doing just enough to stay ahead of what you actually probably have to do, which is build a new stadium, and they have nowhere to do it.
Shout out to Fire Codes.
No doubt about it. Joe, you have any other questions?
I got a couple more from the NFL. We could hit one of them. Tyreek Hill said in a workout video that he has now power in his 10 months.
No power. It should be no. I think he said he had no power.
No power in his 10 months post-surgery. Yeah. Have we seen the last of the former Pro Bowl wide receiver?
Is it over for the Cheetah? That was a nasty injury that he suffered last year. Dislocated knee, multiple ligaments torn.
Is it over for the Cheetah?
Over where it matters.
Yes,
I think he could have the Odell Beckham where he signs and nobody cares.
Yeah, sure.
Just those 1-year contracts.
Like, I don't even know if he's a guy that it depends like where you sign.
It's weird. I'm not a Chiefs fan. In fact, I usually don't want good things for the Chiefs in general. But it seems to me I want him to at least have like one more run with Mahomes. And by run, like I'd like him to be sort of back there and involved in some capacity.
It's a completely different offense.
No, it is. But the magic of that is like what Mahomes was. And the further they've gotten away from that, the more human that whole thing looks.
Yeah, it does. That's where I'm not a Chiefs guy either. I am intrigued to see what like Mahomes looks like, though. Not to bring that into it.
No, definitely.
I mean, I do think it's over.
Yeah, he's still got to come back from his own knee injury.
Like, because I don't know if Tyreek Hill's the type of wide receiver that you can just plug in and think that he's going to be valuable.
If he's not fast, what's the biggest thing that he has going for him? He's 5'9".
Yeah.
You know, like his thing was he was faster than everybody in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, frankly, even since his time in Kansas City, the like DBs get better. Like I think there's also something to be said now. Like it's similar to the velocity conversation in baseball, where years ago everybody freaked out over Aroldis in a closing scenario was able to pump 9900s consistently. Now you have starters doing it for 5 innings straight. Like it just evolves. And I feel like the game for the NFL has evolved and receivers have gotten better. So there's fewer spots, but then also for a guy like him, the defenders and DBs are better now too.
Well, they know how to, the cover two shell that they basically employed to take that away.
Yeah. Like they're seeing guys, maybe not with specific Tyreek Hill skill set, but they're seeing guys more often be able to just be fast. Like I don't know. Maybe that. I mean,
what do you think, Joey? You're an NFL guy.
I have I don't really care about the Chiefs.
Not the Chiefs, like the Tyreek Hill aspect of it. You think there's anything there?
Not really.
But the Packers signed him. Didn't they have Beckham for like a minute? Or he wanted to go there.
No,
Is that what it was?
I think Rodgers wanted him or something. Okay. There was like a little love relationship that never came to fruition. The Packers are notable for not signing the big name wide receivers, but I think Tyreek Hill's near the end of his career after that catastrophic injury. I don't care if he goes to the Chiefs because I don't think it's going to work with Mahomes returning from his catastrophic injury. I don't think he's going to be as affected as he was. I'm talking about Tyreek Hill, not Mahomes on that part.
Yeah. So admittedly for me with Hill, like when the Vikings were talking about getting a veteran third wide receiver and they ended up with Juwan Johnson, there was like a part of me that's like, what if you just signed
Juwan Jennings?
Juwan Jennings. Juwan Johnson's the tight end.
That's a better pickup, I would say.
He's certainly a more safe pickup, but the like part of my brain that's like, if you got 80% of Tyreek Hill and you have him as a third wide receiver and you already have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, that could be really interesting. However, you still have Tyreek Hill and everything that comes along with that too.
I guess the only benefit if he was on the Packers would be to add a little more room for that slot position because Jaden Reed had an injury half of that season from week 2 to week 8 or something. So, but Packers are already situated with Christian Watson. If he could stay healthy, he had a dominant second half of the last season, and then
really good when he's available.
Yeah, when he's available,
and easily the scariest Packer you have.
Then Matthew Golden, he could have a huge jump in the second season.
I would have much preferred the Packers to grow tired of the injuries of Christian Watson, see him go be a star for the Texans or something.
Here's the question for you: would you choose Xavier Worthy or Tyreek Hill? I mean, wouldn't that be kind of the comp right now?
Worthy because they know he can run. That's the problem.
Right. Like so that's my thing. Like as teams look at this,
well, they don't want to pay the money. Like the part of it is he's going to command more salary than what you probably are willing to pay. Tyreek Hill has had incidents in his past. He got
it's not like he's a locker room guy where you're like, okay, we could spend a little bit more because he's going to be a boost positively.
You don't know that he's just
going
to blend in.
Yeah.
Like he's never been a blend guy in his career. He's been a star.
Yeah.
And so that's hard to go from that to just, being there and being happy to be there.
Yeah. OBJ is an interesting comp there. I mean, I get it.
Catastrophic injury. And are they ever the same? And Hill, for what it's worth, was a better receiver than Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah. Like what is Odell's career and how
he doesn't have the catch?
If he doesn't have the catch?
I think he's just a really solid receiver, of which there's a lot of people like him.
Exactly.
Does that sound fair?
I would agree.
Yeah. All right. That's free balling today as Nick continues to learn about the ballsiest show.
Do we do free balling every day?
We do free balling every day.
It's a new tradition.
I look forward to free balling tomorrow.
Yeah, we will be free balling tomorrow. We'll be free balling all week long here on Happer and Schaefer. Up next, Max Olson from ESPN. We will dive into what's happening at the various media days, what he is getting up to, and just kind of what's been going on in the world of Max Olson here on Happer and Schaefer.
Hi, everybody. Harry Carey here.
Welcome back here on Happer and Schaefer. It is 9:21 on Thursday, and we are going to the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline, where we will check in with our friend over at ESPN, Max Olson. Max, how we doing?
I'm good, guys. Good morning.
We're doing well here. We just happened to notice, Max, you have been working very hard. You have simulated the season using EA Sports College Football 27. I appreciate you giving us some time here to be able to pull yourself away from the video game to be able to tell us what you've learned about the upcoming season using the college sports video game here.
What I hope are about 10 to 12 radio interviews today about this story. I mean, I hope my phone just does not stop ringing.
I can't imagine why it would. This is what the people want. Okay, we'll start with this. What was your single biggest takeaway from simulating a season? What were the parameters, I guess, as you put this whole thing together?
I try to keep it simple. So I simulate the season. I don't play any of the games. I don't change any of the rosters or depth charts or any of the settings. I just let the computer take the wheel and tell me what's going to happen.
You go week by week with it?
You just sim to the start of the playoff and kind of go through the standings from there. And then kind of go week to week after that. But I don't play any of the games, and I do all that and kind of see what happens, and then also see at the end of the season what happens with the coaching carousel and what happens with the transfer portal. And then we just do that 26 times, which is time consuming. Eventually, the Xbox says, "Please, no more, sir. You can only do 25 Dynasty files. You've lost your mind." But we do it for the people.
That is great. The people need this sort of information. So I'll just throw random questions at you.
This, Mike, Nebraska's in that playoff in many of those years.
Wow. In 2026? They don't even have Trey Taylor yet. Are they allowed to go to the playoff?
In 2026 with Anthony Calandria and
does the game know they play Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State?
Let me tell you something. I don't know why. I don't. This is again. It's all up to the whims of the computer. But Nebraska got into the playoff 8 times in 26 simulations. UCLA got in 6 times. Washington got in 0 times. So I mean, it had some. It had some strong takes on the Big Ten. It had Ohio State and USC as the most likely to get into the playoff.
UCLA was the number 2 seed in the college football playoff of the one season of Dynasty that I have completed so far. So I don't know why, but the game really loves what Bob Chesney has going on out there in Los Angeles. Is
there a team that has a coach getting fired more often than not? Did you look at that data?
Oh yes. In 26 simulations. I'm sorry to say Clemson made 0 college football playoffs.
Yeah.
And Dabo Swinney left Clemson in 20 of those 26 seasons. Now, some of them, really weird stuff happened. Like Dabo Swinney got the Notre Dame job after Marcus Freeman went to the NFL, or Texas fired Sark and hired Dabo, or in some cases he took over for Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. So sometimes he got to leave on his own accord. But, a lot of times Dabo was the one making moves there. I did not see any instances in which Nebraska fired Matt Rule.
That seems like that's actually accurate to what will happen in real life as well. So, Max, did you have any of these instances that was your favorite outcome in terms of the college football playoff, of like the bracket that got set up or the teams that made it to the final because of, I don't know, pure anarchy or whatever else? Anything really stand out, rise above the rest in these 26?
Yeah, we're always looking for the chaos bracket where things just go really wrong and weird. And this year it was we had Boise State making a Cinderella run, 12-1 through the Pac-12, and yet they got the 10 seed. They came to Lincoln, Nebraska. They routed Nebraska in the first round. Then they knocked out Notre Dame. They knocked out USC, and they go meet South Carolina in the national championship game. But South Carolina did not have their A game for that title game because for some reason, after losing the SEC title game, I guess just the seat was feeling a little hot there, and Shane Beamer decided to accept the Georgia Tech job. They were 1-11 after firing Brent Key. So Shane Beamer gets to keep coaching South Carolina through the national title game, unlike Lane Kiffin, and they lose to Boise State there in the national title game. I'm not sure the rest of the country would be all that fired up at that outcome, but I would enjoy watching that.
There is so much to unpack in that simulation alone. It actually falls right in line.
Leipold comes into South Carolina and gets Pillars to stay for another year. So there's a lot going on there.
It falls right in line with a question that I asked Mike: is who's the team to beat in the new era Pac-12, and we both landed on Boise State. So that would be
21 times.
That would be accurate.
21 times they won the Pac-12, according to Max's write-up that you can find here on ESPN. Okay, talk to me about the Heisman. Darian Mensah won it the one season I've been in. Who was the consistent winner for you across this?
Yeah, most consistent was Trinidad Chandler from Ole Miss. He won it 6 times. He had the most second-place finishes. I think he went to New York like 16 out of 26 times. John Mateer was up there a lot.
Do you like the cutscene?
Was up there a lot. Say that again?
Do you like the cutscene that they added in there? It feels really long.
Yeah, it is such a long process.
When I tell you what, Mike, when you watch 26 of these,
you didn't hold X to skip at all?
I did skip them, but I tell you, the suits don't get any better when you watch 26.
Oh man,
the outfits are a little off.
It's like watching an early 2000s NBA draft with some of those suits.
The faces are very funny, and they've done a pretty good job with the player likenesses in this game, but don't know how well that translates over to the Heisman ceremony. But John Mateer, Byron Brown, Arch is in the mix there, Levitt, Jaden Mayava. Surprisingly, 0 Heismans for Jeremiah Smith, 0 Heismans for Malachi Toney, 0 for Dante Moore. But we did get North Texas quarterback Taven Jackson taking home the Heisman one year.
Okay, look at that. All right, so did you get all the way into the transfer portal? Was there any surprising names that appeared in there? Because that was certainly a highlight of the first off season for me.
Yes, the big name that transferred 26 out of 26 times was Bryce Underwood at Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that says, but he was always on the move, and that sweepstakes was usually came down to Tennessee against LSU. Tennessee won that 10 times. LSU won it 8 times. A few other schools that he ended up at, but Bryce Underwood. If you were a betting man on some prediction markets or whatever, I guess the video game is saying that's going to happen. Drew Mastermaker went in the portal a lot. Torian Moore from Oregon went in the portal a lot. And my favorite one, there was one where Arch Manning transferred to Ole Miss. I thought that was pretty beautiful.
That's pretty great.
Continuing family legacy. My favorite one though. So Mike, you know how they added NIL to the game this year in Dynasty, right?
Sure.
There was one season where Marcel Reed led Texas A&M to its first national championship since 1939. And then he put his name in the portal, and Ohio State made him the highest paid player in college football.
Amazing. Absolutely.
So, kids these days,
Amazing. Incredible. Well, do you, I haven't really paid attention to how the computer has utilized their NIL. So Ohio State just outspent everyone to get Marcel Reed?
That's right. Yeah, I think it was 610. It was a crazy number. It was, I think they're still doing some tinkering on that and trying to get that revised a little bit so that these guys that go in the portal actually do sign with schools and all that. But some issues with that early on. But yeah, it's you see a lot of the same characters in the portal every year. A lot of some Arch Manning, but you would see Lenora Sellers a lot, Bear Bachmeier a lot, Jaron Chiave, Pulitelli. A lot of usual names going in there. Didn't see any big ones from Nebraska. It looks like again Matt Rule not getting fired and retaining his players pretty well.
Look at that. This game really likes the outcome for Nebraska in 2026. Okay, so when you popped your head up from simulating for work the video games, and you've kind of paid attention to some of what's being said at the various media days, what's kind of stood out to you during talking season so far?
Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys saw this morning. Very exciting news that Lane Kiffin's off social media.
It seems like a bad thing for the sport.
No, I think there's will he be able to set his trolling ways aside for a long period of time? I have some skepticism, but
does that mean Joey Freshwater is back on social media?
Oh, I don't know about that. That's a good reference there. I think that, of course, this week you're hearing some of like the SEC, Greg Sankey continuing to sort of like, sort of make these threats about, the SEC. We're gonna, maybe if things don't go the way we want them to, then we'll start playing by our own rules and things like that. I think, you kind of expect hearing that. I'll be interested to hear next week what Tony Petitti has to say about the state of the sport and the playoff, and certainly the, where are we going here with the future of college athletics? You've got a lot of that kind of big picture stuff here that is certainly right in front of us.
Max, that's actually kind of what I was going to ask you is what is something that you're maybe looking for from Tony Petitti? Last year, I can't remember if it was football or basketball media days. It was all about the private equity stuff that was going on, that conversation. Is there one thing over the other that you're really looking forward to hearing from Tony Petitti next week?
Well, I mean, I think his views on a 2014 playoff are pretty well known and laid out. I don't know that he's going to say anything there that's going to be very, revelatory to people next week. But I think certainly there's a lot of confusion and reports and stuff out there about, the state of this mess in DC and just kind of where are we at with this bill and what concessions are they having to make? What concessions are they willing to make? And, what's the roadmap here? And actually trying to, is this thing just totally dead on arrival here or what is the path here to getting, to protect college sports closer to a finish line here? I think that's, going to come into focus even more. I know he's in the middle of a lot of meetings and negotiating on that stuff. And as much as I think I'm one of the many who looks at that story and kind of rolls my eyes and says, how many years of this have we been waiting on this? Like, sort of tell me when the story's over. Like, I do think we are heading towards a pretty critical juncture here where, and as you can see, they're kind of just sort of, negotiating and making up the rules as they go here right now. And so I think we're going to need to get a real sense of the optimism or pessimism around that here by next week.
All right, Max, we appreciate it. As always, look forward to checking in with you next week as Big Ten Media Days gets their opportunity to be front and center and what great things could be said from Tony Petitti. You might want to move it from a 2014 playoff to 48. Who knows? Anything is possible in talking season as we are in now. So, yeah, Max,
that's going to make my simulations a lot more complicated if you do that.
You might not be able to do 27 next year if they actually end up with a 48-team playoff. You might just have to focus on that.
I'm going to have to start wrapping my head around that possibility. Yeah, that's a little scary.
All right. Well, hopefully we don't get there. So we'll see. But appreciate it, Max Olson.
It's going to be like a 2-page bracket, isn't it? That's going to be like a whole thing.
It'd be great. It'd be great. All right, Max Olson. ESPN, appreciate him as always joining us here on Happer and Schaefer. All right. We've talked a lot about Chicago. Chicago's a really important place here for Nebraska fans, especially because, one, Big Ten Media Day, sure, whether they care about that, we'll see. Nebraska basketball, I believe, has a game in Chicago as well. Nebraska volleyball will be playing in Chicago. Chicago is calling Husker fans. 1620 The Zone is teaming up with Union Bank and Trust to send one lucky Nebraska fan and a guest to Chicago to see Nebraska volleyball play Missouri at historic Wrigley Field. How to win? Listen for the Road to Wrigley sounder. Head to 1620thezone.com and enter for your chance to win. We are giving you multiple chances to enter every day, all month long. This is a good prize package. 2 tickets to see Nebraska volleyball at historic Wrigley Field versus Missouri, Sunday, September 6th. That's Labor Day weekend for those of you that don't calendar. Round trip airfare. Almost said road trip airfare. Kind of works. Round trip airfare for 2 from Omaha to Chicago. 2-night hotel stay in downtown Chicago and a $150 gift card for the winner to use for dining, Ubers, merchandise, whatever they need. We want to send you to Wrigley Field. So be sure to get to 1620thezone.com to check that out. Get signed up for the contest. Road to Wrigley, presented by Union Bank and Trust at UBT. People don't have your money. Your money has people. Member FDIC. All right, accountability coming up. We're going to finish. I'm telling you, you probably want to check in on this. I have one an all-timer, something that I never thought would happen to me occurred yesterday, and I need to be held accountable. Welcome back one final time here on Happer and Schaefer. Big thanks to Nick Sehnert filling in today. Connor Happer out. Nick will be back tomorrow. He decided he didn't mind doing radio in Omaha.
Oh, I forgot to turn the mic
Great
on.
segment.
I got to be held accountable. No, I appreciate the offer and the invite, Schaefer. Seriously.
Yeah. And now you get to atone for anything that potentially could have went wrong in this wonderful segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for accountability.
So
I love it.
Here is where we talk about what we need to be held accountable for. I will give you guys, Nick, you weren't able to get the microphone on before you jumped into talking. Very common
there
mistake.
You go.
Honestly, I was proud of myself.
You were doing great.
I was proud of myself because I had remembered every single time.
Yeah.
Well, there's certain breaks where you weren't turning off the mic, which I was well aware.
Joey's
I pay attention.
I will say, I mean, I looked every single time and I saw it switch from on to off.
Joey does it, but then he wants to let you know that he did it.
I usually give it a couple of seconds, but then if it's not
off,
second.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you, Joey.
He's fast. He's very good.
It was pretty quick. You didn't even give me a chance.
Don't want a hot mic incident. And
yeah, the good thing is that you have two guys. The good thing is you have two guys, because I've been in that chair before where you're on the other side. You don't know. Like, the other guys think that as soon as they just stop talking, oh, mics are off, we're good.
No, I mean
that's not how this works.
Yeah. No. That's basically all of my experience being Happer and Sorensen running the board for me. That was how I just assumed it was.
Yeah.
And so then I got here and it wasn't that way. All right, Joey, what do you got?
Well, my new tradition starting the morning show, I would say good morning to the host and then say good morning to something else. I forgot to do that.
Yeah, well, I didn't.
Good morning, Mike. Good
I
morning,
don't bring
Nick.
it in the same way that Connor does, so you don't get the same rhythm.
I know, but I hold myself accountable for not saying good morning to my coworkers or guests.
Yeah.
And a particular portion of Omaha or any city across.
Was there anyone that you were planning on shouting out today?
No, I wasn't really sure, to be honest. I don't remember. I probably had something in mind.
Could be. It could be. All right. Okay. So I didn't turn a microphone on. I already know that there was multiple times where I didn't turn it off. That happens. Those are things that just occur. Last night, I was involved in something that I never thought would happen to me. I was playing golf. I was playing in my league and had a situation occur where I hit a ball. The hole that I was playing, like there's a kind of a hazard on the left side. My drive hit a pretty decent drive. I thought maybe it crossed over to the other hole. So I go to drive around this hazard. It has trees. Can't really see what's on the other side. Drop off my playing partner to his ball, and then I'm going to go check to see if my ball's in play or if I've got to go do whatever. So I get around this hazard, and I immediately in these golf courses now, they have the carts where it shuts down if you're in an area that's deemed to be either a hazard or whatever.
Get too close to the green, too close to a bunker.
I'm playing Stone Creek, for those that know it, playing Greystone, hitting off of 3. I think my ball went over to 4, so I'm going around the hazard. It's blind. I get over there. There's the women's tee box. I forgot that would have been there. So I turn the corner. I'm over there. I've got to back up my cart, right? So I'm annoyed. Like, this whole thing has not gone how I wanted. I haven't been playing particularly well. I go to back up my cart and go in reverse. And I'm going in reverse. And because of how this sort of sits, I'm kind of in this gully. And my cart gets up on 1 wheel or 2 wheels. And then all of a sudden, I'm going down. Yes, that's right. I tipped a golf cart last night. In addition to disaster, I tipped a golf cart in a very slow phase, like it's just like watching a slow tree fall over. I go down with it, obviously. I'm able to kind of like duck my head. So it throws me to the right. Okay. So I get my head just slightly underneath the roof of the golf cart. It scrapes up against my head. So very fortunate that it didn't land on my head. The golf cart lands on my ankle. The only reason I'm even here today, not live, I would have lived, but would have probably had a shattered ankle last night. My Bluetooth speaker that everybody hates Bluetooth speakers, the golf traditionalists, it propped up the cart just enough that the full weight of the cart does not land on my ankle or my head at one point in time. So now I am trapped under a 850-pound golf cart while my playing partners and the other guys that I'm with are on the other hole. the people that are driving up to the fourth hole to go finish their hole, they can't see me because I'm sort of in this gully. They finally get to this point. People on hole 2 are flying over because they saw the cart come down. All of a sudden, everyone realizes, hey, there's this guy trapped under a golf cart. I can't move. I can't go anywhere. Someone's like, are you okay? And I was like, my cart is under the effing, or my ankle is under the effing golf cart. One of the guys that's on my team for this golf league comes over, and he's actually able to just like pick the cart up himself. Whoa. Which nobody would have expected. Yeah. But I don't know if it was just like, like in like times of peril or whatever, you have superhuman strength. Yeah. My ankle working as a fulcrum allows this whole thing to happen. So I get out of this with just mere scratches, but I have now tipped over a golf cart, had a golf cart trapped where I could not move. And arguably the best part about all of this, no one saw it happen. No one was smart enough to take a photo of me being trapped under the golf cart. So there's no evidence that there's no documentation.
There's no.
However, because of accountability, I am willing to admit that this all happened.
There's no we're doing a radio show picture from Happer, unfortunately. We won't get that.
That's so now were there any consequences from the course? Did you notify them?
The marshal came up because there's a lot of people flooding over to this hole. Yeah. And they're trying to figure out what has happened. And so he comes over and I explained to him, and like the cart was fine. Of course. The cart ran. There's no noises. There's nothing that happened with it. Like clubs didn't fall out because again, it wasn't like this high speed, you hit this bump and you ramp up and you fly. I'm going in reverse. And just because of the weight of me, how I was sitting, like I was a passenger and I'm doing the thing where you just drive with your left foot. Oh, yeah. And so like we just tipped down at a really, me and the cart tipped down at a really low speed. The clubs never come out. Yeah. Like a couple drinks and the guy who was driving the cart, my partner, his sunglasses fall out. Otherwise, like nothing has occurred. It's just me being trapped under a golf cart and just being incredibly thankful that I had a Bluetooth speaker. Otherwise, like I would be hobbling around with crutches and a shattered ankle.
It's a good thing.
And I'm super fortunate that I was able to duck my head under just enough.
That's what I was going to say.
Because that could have been, there are so many ways this could have been a horrendous story.
That's what I was going to say. Joey, I don't know what would have happened today. Schaefer wouldn't have been able to do the show if it would have landed on his head. And I mean, it'd be just you and I, and these people would be like, well, who is this guy?
We would figure it out.
Oh,
I don't even know.
Fine.
Then there's a whole process of how like, I don't even know how no one would have been able to explain had the worst happened to me last night, how the cart tipped over. No one saw it. No one would have had any idea.
Well, especially in a golf league, that's surprising. Because you're not necessarily backed up
area that's like just dipped down just
like
enough.
Nobody was on the tee box at number 4 to see it.
No, the only people that saw the cart go down were on the tee box on 2. And they wouldn't have seen everything that kind of led up to it.
Were you able to gather yourself and keep your composure for the rest of the round?
Arguably the best part. So I don't play the third hole because I'm just kind of like,
you're
whatever.
Shocked. You just
I don't know where my ball went. And then later it was like, hey, there was actually a ball on the women's tee box. So I think it was sitting there the whole time. Oh. And so then go to play the fourth hole, which is the last hole of the night for us. I end up parring it on like a 20-foot putt, and everyone just cheers like I won the British Open. Because like you're able to kind of like put that whole thing back together. But I get out of it, so I just have like scrapes on my ankle. I thought my ankle was going to be a pump.
I mean, obviously you've been walking fine this entire morning, so I wouldn't have known anything.
Really, really sore last night, and it was sore this morning. But I think it's like very much still adrenaline that I can't believe this all happened and that I didn't get hurt.
There's been a couple of close calls with me in golf carts. Thankfully, though, there's never been one tipped. Hopefully today when I play, I'll be thinking about you often when I'm driving the golf cart later today.
Just and again, there wasn't like alcohol involved. There wasn't like flying. It was just a pure
gravity,
dumb luck, stupid on my part because I got into a spot where I didn't know exactly what the terrain was.
Yeah.
And then just went down. So that's today's accountability.
You avoided what John Bishop didn't in last year's lawn mowing incident.
Oh my gosh.
Fortunately for you, Schaefer.
Super, super thankful. But like I said, we believe in accountability here. So I wanted to share all of that with you here today. All right, that'll do it. Mike Schaefer, Nick Sehnert in for Connor Happer. He'll be in again tomorrow. Happer out for the rest of the week. Joey, of course, always keeps us going as well here on Happer and Schaefer. Middays with Matt next.